Good morning to you, and welcome in to 104.5 The Zone. I guess we should say welcome into the Buck Rising Show on 104.5 The Zone. I am Joe Hunk, and I am joined this morning, going into this afternoon, by our man, Allan from Sportsline. How's it going?
Man, it's going fantastic. First off, appreciate you having me here. Second, I don't know if Buck is going to be happy that, I'm residing, 50% of his show, but you know what? Let's have some fun anyway.
You know what he really wouldn't be excited about?
What's that?
The fact that when I logged onto my tweet deck just a second ago, his tweet deck is the one that popped up, and I have access to Buck Rising.
Now
stuff
that's trouble.
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buck, I'm not going to do anything. I promise in that. But look, this is how this day is supposed to go, because you and I have been talking for about a week about what we were going to talk about today. But literally in 30 seconds, that entire show could be blown up based on what news is going to happen on Black Friday. Let's just be honest about this, right?
Yeah, 100%, man. You could get Lane Kiffin news. You could get fights over at Opry Mills, right? Over a toaster and air fryer. It could be anything, and that's exactly why we're in this seat right here. So, yeah.
Yes, because we want to be safe from Black Friday shopping.
Yeah.
That is exactly what it is. The most exciting thing for me going into this day was the moment that I was asked to do this with you. I said, wait, I'm doing this instead of going Black Friday shopping. I am totally in on this.
100%. Yeah.
I have to look at my wife. I'm sorry, I can't be there at 2 a.m. because I've got to go and prep for the show. It's just that's how it is.
Yeah.
So have a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh, it was fantastic, man. It was great. Spent some time with family. Always fun. Ate way too much. What about you?
I way too much. The family, we went over to my mother-in-law's house.
Yeah.
We watched a ton of football as we were going through it. We have a couple Cowboys fans in the family, so it was no big deal to have them on as we were going through the day. We also threw on the Egg Bowl for a little bit before we all rolled out and watched that disaster of a football game, pouring down rain.
The Egg Bowl is the Egg Bowl is if you don't drink, right, that game is alcohol. Every year, it's insanity, and it's always different how it's going to be.
Yep.
But you just know that it's going to be craziness. And I mean, not only craziness, but every quarter is a different movie. You know what I mean? It's just nuts. And last night, it delivered once again.
Well, and you had things that were happening in it that, everybody's watching because of at least the Lane Kiffin story. Now, look, the reason we bring up the Lane Kiffin story has nothing to do with mine and Don's fandom of Auburn, the potential of what could potentially happen. You have to look at this and step back from it. You have a head football coach that has been coached at USC. Obviously, he did have his time in Tennessee as well. You have him now doing what he's done at Ole Miss. He's beaten out, he's coached for Alabama. He's won the national championships. He's done all this stuff. And now there's a potential of him literally leaving to go to another Power 5 school, not only in the same SEC division or conference, but the same division. This is a potential of a major story if it were to eventually happen. So that plus the fact that, yes, this is kind of the kickoff, the Egg Bowl is a Black Friday shopping historically now, because husbands will have this game on their phones as they're sitting there waiting for their wives to start this Black Friday shopping on Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, no, you're right. And you brought up a good point about Lane Kiffin. It is wild. If you look at his resume, as you just kind of went down, right?
Right.
He has the experience of roughly a 70-year-old coach of all the jobs that he's had. And we're not talking about minor jobs either. The NFL.
Oh, yeah, Oakland Raiders. Let's not forget about that one.
Literally, the NFL. He was an NFL head coach. That seems like forever ago. Him being at Tennessee feels like a lifetime ago. And he's young. He still has so many years ahead of him. So that is one thing that's fascinating about him, is that if you just compared him to 4 other coaches of the same age, his experience level is 3 times the amount. There's nothing you're going to throw at Lane Kiffin that he probably hasn't dealt with before.
Well, no, absolutely, because he dealt with it from his time at USC to, yes, in the NFL. There are still coaches that, if you look at his coaching staff that he had at Oakland, the coaches and what they're doing now, he has this amazing tree that even he has built from his time at being in the NFL. So this is why this story is so huge. So yes, you were watching the Egg Bowl last night because you were kind of wanting to see something similar to kind of what we've been going to be talking about and what we have been talking about all week with Tennessee, the motivation. Ole Miss over the last 72 hours has now been having to hear all of this stuff of, your head coach is literally going to walk off the field and, Jimmy Sexton's going to hand him an Auburn shirt. That was basically the story that was being told.
Yeah.
And so how are they going to be motivated? The man actually had to have a team meeting the other day to say, hey, look, man, we're all good here. Let's focus on the Egg Bowl. That's what this is about. So this isn't just something we're making up. So the Egg Bowl happens, and not only was this a team that Ole Miss at home should have been better than Mississippi State, but at the same time, the pouring down rain, the weird, and I mean absolutely weird ruling on the officials about the fumble that was on an inadvertent whistle, but for some reason the play doesn't stand, but the fumble does. It was how on earth did that happen?
Yeah.
Even Lane Kiffin is going, how do you say that a play is supposed to be redone or not going to count because of the inadvertent whistle, yet you're counting the fumble and Mississippi State has the football?
Yeah.
I'm totally confused on that.
Yeah, you know what? I'll say this, him having that team meeting, that's great, but it really wasn't anything official. I am surprised that they allowed that to hang over the game because, that's a massive, massive acorn that's sitting there that really even as of right now, it hasn't really been resolved. We see the reports, Chris Lowe, coming out today, Lane Kiffin is expected to stay at Ole Miss. Great. Expected doesn't mean staying at Ole Miss. I was very surprised that they just kind of allowed this thing to sit there because that locker room's thinking it. And I'll just go ahead and say this, for bowl season outside of the college football playoff, you're going to see the largest amount of transfers out of schools plus players sitting out of bowl games. That I say all that to say this, there were, I'm sure, a ton of players in that Ole Miss locker room that heard him say that, and that sounds great, but they're not dumb. They knew that it wasn't official, and they're probably sitting there, even maybe right now, saying, okay, do I need to go somewhere else? Do I need to start looking? I was just really surprised that, one way or the other, announce it before the game, because you saw it was just kind of a mishmash of we don't really know what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Right. Are you our head coach? Are you not?
Yeah.
Are you going to be our head coach in 2 weeks? Are you not? When we get ready for bowl practice, are you going to be here or not? Because not only is you're having to deal with the Lane Kiffin thing, let's not act like this is something that is not going to happen. Players in 2022 go where their coaches go. Yeah. You don't think that I'm talking, out of one side of my mouth. Look at what happened at USC.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't even think about that. You're right.
Seriously, USC and the way they're playing right now, who did they just get in the offseason because of their brand new head coach?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that specifically Dart, for instance, would be doing anything, but what I am saying is that in 2022, the players are going to stick with the coach and or leave a university because the coach is no longer there. And the way that college football is designed, with the transfer portal, now that specifically the SEC, but other conferences now have taken away the rule that said you cannot transfer to other schools inside of the conference. All of that has happened. This is legitimately a time that any coach that says, peace out, I'm done, all the players can leave. And I think that's part of what Lane Kiffin has been complaining about over the last 3 or 4 months, is about the fact of look, Ole Miss, the only reason we're number 10 in the country, the only reason we were in the top 10 at any point in time is because of what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Because of me.
Yeah.
This is, nobody wants to come here unless this happens, unless I am here. So do whatever you want to do, but wherever I go, they're going to give me what I want. So yes, if Lane Kiffin is staying, and look, I'm just saying that, what Chris Lowe said, yes. And I said this on Tuesday. Don and I were talking off the
I was going to say, you're an Auburn guy. Do you want him?
No, I would absolutely love Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
and the only reason I would love Lane Kiffin, because Lane Kiffin in 2022 is not Lane Kiffin from 2007.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not Lane Kiffin from 2010. This is not Joey Freshwater from Alabama. This is all these...
He's grown a lot. No, to the experience thing. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, you're right.
He has grown through this whole experience. And again, from being in my time around Tuscaloosa and in Alabama, I know the stories, okay? I've heard the stories. Everybody that's been in Knoxville has heard the stories about him. We always, since his time at FAU to now, he is a different coach, and he has matured a lot as a person on and off the field. So this coach is exactly almost like Sarkisian at Texas. I'm not making the connection because of USC. I'm making the connection because a guy that made some dumb mistakes, that went to the Nick Saban School for Coaches, has improved his person, and improved it because, I mean, you have people in Tuscaloosa as well. Saban really wasn't a fan of Sark when he had to fill in for Kiffin when Kiffin left for FAU because he didn't want to coach the national championship. Like, we remember, it's like, oh, crap, it's Sark. All right, cool.
I figured this out.
Yeah, we'll figure this out. Yeah. But look at how much Sark has grown, and now he's coaching one of the blue blood programs in the college football.
Point. Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah.
So if that person, yes, I would love him because of the fact that he is a good football coach. Yeah. He's a great recruiter. He has a personality that will bring 4- and 5-star players to the university. But when this news started coming out on Tuesday and we started seeing everything and I started talking to people in Auburn and they started telling me the things that they tell me about Lane Kiffin, like, I was being told this was almost a done deal.
See, and not to interrupt you, I'll say this. Like, once the game kicked off last night, in my head, because I was thinking about it all day. I was like, if you're Ole Miss and you're going to re-sign him, you do it before the game, you juice up the locker room, and you're going to go in and you're going to beat Mississippi State by 60 points, right? Yes. Because everybody's like, all right, we're good. We're all in, whatever. The minute that the game kicked off, I was like, I guess he's going to Auburn, right? And like, even you looked at his body language last night, and I know it was raining, it was cold, weird game, whatever. Like, it didn't feel like Lane Kiffin. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like, even like leaving, running off the field, I was like, he's going to Auburn. Like, this is only just a matter of time till it's announced. And then you see the Chris Lowe report, which again is just expected. Like, it's nothing. Like, this could happen at any moment. And I'll be honest, like, you know, as a bettor myself, like, even as we sit right now, I put my money that he's going to Auburn. Yeah. Like, I still believe that he's going to do it. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see.
And with CeeLo is one of those guys, we talk about it all the time whenever he comes on 3HL.
Yeah. He's one of the best. Yeah.
Pay attention to how he says something. Yeah. Because CeeLo is very rarely wrong, and he is very well in the know.
Yeah.
So when I started seeing last night and started hearing that Sexton was in Oxford for Lane Kiffin, out of all of the games that you have of head coaches, you decide you want to be in Oxford at that particular time? Okay.
Yeah. On Thanksgiving.
So I almost felt like there was this thing, and you've been this guy. Have you ever seen those movies? Because, look, this now Christmas movie season, they're all going to be going. Yeah. You've seen those movies where you have one person in one room, one person in another room, and you're having to go back and forth, and you're trying to make sure they're both happy. Yeah. Like, oh, this doesn't know about this. Let me go to this family.
It's like
dinner.
Mixing two friend groups. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's like you're invited to two Christmas parties at houses side by side, and you're going back and forth trying to make sure everybody's happy. Yeah. That's almost what Sexton in my mind was doing, where there were two suites last night or two hotel rooms. One hotel room had all these Ole Miss boosters. The other hotel had all these Auburn boosters. And he's going back and forth trying to see which one's going to give him the better deal.
You want a Manning cast. I want a camera on that.
That's what it should be, because this is Jimmy Sexton's season.
That's his life.
Mariah Carey and Jimmy Sexton wake up on Black Friday, okay? They both do. It's like, all right, we're good to go. Yeah. And that's what season it is. So now, again, CeeLo said this. We could, in 30 minutes, have news that Lane Kiffin has officially announced that he is going to Auburn. We can see every bit of that. But in the meantime, and in between time, sorry, I didn't go there, but I did go there. All of that's happening. We also have Vanderbilt, Tennessee.
Yep.
We also have the Titans hosting the Bengals this week. We have football games about to start, football and football about to start. You've been working World Cup stuff all morning long already. We're about to be joined by Josh Ward, 99.1, the sports animal in Knoxville. The Vols are ready to go. They are right down the street from our 104.5
Kind of a big bounce back
studios.
Video.
Yeah, they are right down the street. Like, right now, if I had an arm, I could throw a baseball to where this game is being played.
Joe Milton will throw it back.
Yeah, Joe Milton would throw it back and break a window in this studio, okay? The reason we moved studios is because of this game, because our other studio was facing the football field, and we did not want him to break a window, okay? He's going to be joining in Joe Milton, getting ready to be the quarterback for the Vols, going into this game with Vandy. Let's talk to Josh Ward here in just a few moments. When we come back after that, we're going to get into your phone calls on this Black Friday, 615-737-1045. When we come back, Josh Ward, the sports animal in Knoxville. Let's talk a little bit about the Vols here on 1045 The Zone. one. Continuing on 104.5 The Zone, Joe Hunk, Allan Bell in with you on this Black Friday, and he's always on with 3HL on Friday, so we figured, hey, let's just have a little bit of fun with it right now as Josh Ward from WNML is joining us, the sports animal. And Josh, man, look, I know how the first 3 days of the week was for all of us in Nashville because of what happened Saturday night in South Carolina, but what was it like in Knoxville Monday morning for you guys?
Well, it wasn't a positive one. I'll be honest with you there. And it was kind of a reminder of what things have been like in the past with Tennessee football. And I think that was what was frustrating for fans because of what they had experienced for so long and what fans felt like they had broken out of. But, even over the course of the season, there has been the battered Vol fan syndrome and the cup check conversation, and it always kind of loomed over. So that was maybe what Tennessee fans feared. But honestly, I think there was so much shock to it as well because I don't know anybody that saw anything close to happening on Saturday happening before it did. And it was a mix of frustration, realizing the playoff hope was gone. Of course, you have the Hendon aspect, which is so sad for everybody to think about with what happened. And then, worry about what happens next. So as the week has gone along, it's turned to, okay, can we still right this thing? Because 10 wins and getting to a nice bowl game is better than just about anybody expected 3 months ago. So Monday was rough. The week has made things a little bit better, I believe.
Well, and righting the ship is something we've talked about a lot here, but I want to go back because was it the fact that they gave up almost 450 some odd yards passing? Because, they've done that a couple of times this season. But or was it the fact that these teams South Carolina actually scored the 6 touchdowns through the passing game? Because going back and rewatching it, man, like there were passes that South Carolina was making that Rattler was throwing into some tight windows, and he was just completing the pass.
Yeah, there was, speaking of Monday, there was a lot of frustration over Tim Banks' defensive coordinator and game plan and adjustments within the game. So it was also a classic Monday after a letdown performance with the coordinator being questioned. And I think every offensive or defensive coordinator has experienced that at some point in his career or is told when you take that job, expect that when things go bad, they're going to come for you. And that was a lot of the frustration from Tennessee fans on Monday as well, as that Tennessee came out and you had the Jeremy Banks aspect, and that was being thrown into the conversation of how much did that affect the team. But with or without Jeremy Banks, Tennessee should not have given up 63 points. And then for Spencer Rattler, he just looked more confident as the game went along going up against Tennessee's defense and being able to find the right guys. And they were creative enough with the run game and getting out on the perimeter and attacking Tennessee that way. And again, Tennessee didn't have any kind of response over the course of 4 quarters. So part of it was credit to South Carolina, but from the Tennessee fan standpoint, it was either looking for answers of what had gone on behind the scenes leading up to the game or pointing fingers at the defensive coaches because of the way things went. That is an all too familiar conversation in Knoxville or really any college town the Monday after the game. But honestly, the first time we've really had that conversation this season.
Well, and I think the third down thing is what frustrated me so much in watching the game was, like, you're watching this and you're talking about the defense, but it's also you were getting them in 3rd and long situations, and then they would have a wide open wide receiver at some point in time in this. How much has that been possibly looked at this week going into the Vanderbilt game for the Tennessee staff?
Yeah, that 3rd and 20 in the middle of the second half, I think, was maybe the most frustrating play for a lot of Tennessee fans because you still felt like you were holding on to some kind of hope. Hey, let's get a stop here. And then Rattler's able to find a wide open receiver in the middle of that defense to easily, it looked like, pick up a 3rd and 20. And then at that point, you felt like, okay, whatever kind of hope we're hanging on to was just given up to South Carolina. And a lot of the question was, where was the pressure? Should Tennessee have tried to bring more pressure, be more aggressive? That way, going into this game, there's the question of Vanderbilt's ability to run, both at the quarterback position and running back position. And knowing that, look, any defense has a difficult time with a quarterback that can move and attack with his legs. But Tennessee fans, I think, have grown frustrated over how that's affected Tennessee's defense the last couple of years. And then you can just go back over time and find a lot of bad memories for fans. So I think looking for more pressure this week and being more aggressive up front, because when Tennessee's defense has been at its best, it has been able to pressure the quarterback. It's been able to get into the offensive backfield and win those battles. And Tennessee just didn't do that enough against South Carolina and needs to against Vanderbilt.
Josh Ward joining us right now on 104.5 The Zone, 99.1 The Sports Animal. Josh and Swain every single Monday through Friday from 12 to 3 Eastern. And you mentioned the running game and what Vanderbilt is going to be doing going into this. The past 3 weeks, especially or specifically with Mike Wright at the quarterback position, they've put up over 200 yards rushing, over almost 300 yards rushing against Kentucky. What are you guys thinking about this rushing attack of Vanderbilt now going up against Tennessee after what happened on Saturday?
Well, Tennessee against the run has been good overall this season. And even in games where you've seen big runs, it's been difficult to consistently run against Tennessee's defense over the course of this year. And that's what Tennessee needs to get back to, making sure that they keep contained against Vanderbilt's quarterback and making sure that they're not missing assignments, and having Jeremy Banks back as he's expected to be back this weekend should help with that because of how much he's played. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's an All-American linebacker, but for Tennessee's defense, I think his role has been pretty important for Tennessee. So I think overall confidence is there that Tennessee's defense gets back to that. The fear most of the season has been teams being able to pass against the Vols and attack Tennessee's secondary, which is a question. I'm sure Vanderbilt's still going to try to do that, but looking at what Vanderbilt does and its strength, obviously running the football is what Vandy has been able to do, especially recently. So if Tennessee is able to limit what Vanderbilt's able to do in the running game and still force Vanderbilt to show that it can win through the air, then I like Tennessee's chance, and I think Tennessee does as well. Now, if Vanderbilt is able to go out and attack just like South Carolina has been able to do through the air and other teams have been able to do earlier in the season, and that opens up opportunities to run the football as well, especially if it happens early. Part of the issue last week probably was that South Carolina came out and was able to do what it wanted to quickly, and Tennessee never found an answer, and I'm sure that became part of a mental game for Tennessee as the game went along. We don't have any kind of response here. If Vanderbilt's able to have early success and Tennessee thinks, here we go again, then you have a problem. If Tennessee's able to get some defensive stops early and set things up for Joe Milton and the offense to have easier success, then the mental game goes to Tennessee. So the more confidence that builds for Vanderbilt, the more trouble Tennessee can be in. That's why Tennessee, I think, needs to come out and play well early to get some of its mojo back.
You mentioned Jeremy Banks. Everybody's heard stories. We've heard from moms and brothers and everything else about this, okay? But part of the discussion this week has also been about the locker room, as far as this team staying motivated, because you mentioned at the very beginning of this, no college football playoff anymore. Now you're trying to secure a New Year's Six bowl. Jeremy Banks is, supposed to be back this week. What is that locker room, and what are you guys hearing about the focus about this team coming to Nashville on Saturday?
Yeah, to me, that's the biggest question. We can talk about Jeremy Banks' impact on the field. We can talk about what they need to do to help Joe Milton have success now that he's back in the starting position on the offensive side. To me, it's more the mental game. How does Tennessee respond? Because that has not been a question until this week. Last week, there was no talk of Tennessee overlooking South Carolina. So for the team to play the way that it did, and for linebacker Aaron Beasley to admit that they thought that South Carolina would kind of lay down, roll over for Tennessee, and it didn't happen. This is the first time we've wondered, okay, what's going on behind the scenes? What's going on in the locker room? Where is the leadership? Will it respond this week for Tennessee now that playoff hope is gone and Vanderbilt has clear motivation? We're wondering exactly what Tennessee's is. I don't know the answer. We'll find out. But, when Kirk Herbstreit said what he did during the playoff show earlier this week, got a lot of attention.
Yep.
And maybe that helps Tennessee. Maybe that causes Tennessee's players to say, hey, they're talking about us on the national stage, that we have problems in the locker room. Let's go show that that's not the case. Hendon Hooker's been around the team. He's not going to be out there on the field, but he's been around the team. That's a leader that you hope steps up and is able to kind of get the message to the guys that, hey, let's finish on a positive note despite what happened this past week. But if Tennessee doesn't come out and respond that way, that could be a troublesome sign for Tennessee. So I don't know. I think it's the biggest question this week, not necessarily how Joe Milton will play or how the defense will respond or who steps up in the secondary. Those are factors that will for sure matter. But what is the mindset of Tennessee's football team now that the big goals have all been wiped away and Vanderbilt's going to be very motivated at night to get to a bowl game and finish with wins in the SEC in 3 straight weeks? We know what Vanderbilt's trying to do. We'll find out on Saturday how much 10 wins and still a really good bowl game means to Tennessee's football team. My guess is, by the way, that Tennessee will respond. But let's see if that happens.
As we're wrapping up with Josh Ward, 99.1, the sports animal, him and Swain, every single Monday through Friday from 12 to 3. We've talked about everything. We've kind of mentioned Hendon Hooker. Look, the night was bad enough. You lose Hendon Hooker for the rest of the season. Now the beginning of his NFL career is now going to be in question because of the ACL. But now Tennessee does turn to Joe Milton. And yes, we have had tons of jokes about him and the fact that he has an amazing fastball. But how has Joe Milton progressed in your eyes going into this game that Tennessee fans should be excited about what they could see from him going into next season starting on Saturday night?
Joe Milton should be better than what we saw at the beginning of last season when you consider he's had more than a year in the program since then. He had just arrived on campus a few months earlier, and it was a quick study for him to understand the offense, and they were banking on his talent working out with their coaching very quickly. And how last season would have gone if he had remained the starter, we'll never know. But now, more than a year later, with him having been in the offense and communicating with Hendon Hooker every day and Tennessee's coaches, if we believe Tennessee's coaches are that good in quarterback development and running an offensive system, well, then an extra year of preparation for Joe Milton and some playing time, in reserve duty should help him, right? So let's see. Especially, this isn't Florida or Alabama or LSU, with all due respect to Vanderbilt. It's a lower-level team in the SEC. I think everybody recognizes that. So it should be a favorable spot. There's some injury concerns at wide receiver, by the way, so he may not have his full complement of guys there, but there's still plenty of talent on that offense and an offensive line that's good enough to help him. So let's see his decision-making. Let's see how well for 4 quarters Joe Milton is, how well he does at making decisions and going from his first read to his second. And we spent so much time talking about his deep ball last year and how he was overthrowing guys. He'll probably do that. They'll dial up some shots and he'll probably do that, but he's hit enough to where I don't think there should be any lack of confidence in his ability to deliver the ball down the field. But does he make costly mistakes, or does he just miss some guys and then he comes back the next play and he gets another opportunity? That's going to be the biggest deal to me, because the decision-making from Hendon Hooker, the lack of mistakes with him at quarterback, really help Tennessee because they knew a big play was coming at some point. I think a big play will be coming the next play or 2 plays later with Joe at quarterback as well, and he can run the football in this offense. Need to protect him because the backup quarterback is a walk-on quarterback. So Joe's your guy out there, but does he limit mistakes? Does he run the offense efficiently to where they avoid penalties? Those kinds of things are what keep Tennessee's offense from running the way that Josh Heupel wants it. If they limit mistakes and Joe Milton takes care of the football, then this offense should be able to put up a lot of points on Saturday night.
I appreciate you throwing that nugget in about the backup quarterback just in case something happens to Joe Milton. Way to end this thing on a positive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's something that you got to pay attention to, because Taven Jackson would have been a true freshman who hasn't really played much, but he is a very talented guy. He's not available because of injury. So Gaston Moore is the backup quarterback. So Tennessee is down to 1 scholarship guy. That's Joe Milton. So this is no doubt Joe Milton's offense on Saturday night.
All right. Well, if you want to send your worries to Josh Ward, all you got to do is tweet at him at Josh_Ward. You can listen to him every single Monday through Friday, 12 to 3 Eastern. Josh and Swain, 99.1, the sports animal, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, appreciate you. Great to be with you.
Well, after that, let's go ahead and get into your phone call. 615-737-1045. Joe Hunk, Allan Bell, in with you on Black Friday. This is 104.5 The Zone. Continuing on 104.5 The Zone, Joe Hunk, Allan Bell in with you on this Black Friday. I laugh because of what we were talking about before Josh Ward joined us, and just a few moments ago, four-star defensive lineman Darren Reed has just flipped his commitment from LSU to Auburn. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that.
Interesting.
That just happened. Now, you can follow us and watch us on Zone TV. We do have Zone TV going right now. You can watch us there on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. Do you want to be the Don in this and just say Twitch, please?
Twitch, please.
There we go. Perfect. Phone lines are open to you. 615-737-1045 is how you get in on the show today. Also, if you just happen to be driving down Broadway and you kind of pass Bridgestone and you just looks like, I don't know, the Cumberland has made its way up there. Just know that if you have tickets for the Avs and Preds game tonight, that game is not happening now. And I'm not joking. It is not happening. The game has been postponed. The NHL has announced because of a water main break that has impacted the arena. The team sent out an update about this just a little while ago. The Preds are supposed to play Columbus tomorrow as well. And Bridgestone is trying to figure out if the arena will be ready for tomorrow.
That's a ton of water. Like I was listening to Sean Henry, talk about it, and he said some areas it's 3 inches of water, some areas it's 3 feet of water. 3 feet of water spread out among a large surface area is a ton of water, and it doesn't take long for water to do its damage. You know what I mean?
We've seen pictures that have been coming out, and seriously, there's just water flowing out some doors onto.
Not good.
No, not good at all. You do not want that in your arena.
No.
Okay, so just letting you know, if you did have tickets for tonight's game, it's not going to be happening. If you have tickets for tomorrow's game, just keep paying attention to Preds. Are going to let everybody know what's going on. Also, Vanderbilt is going to let us know what's going on with what quarterback they're actually going to be going with tomorrow. I mean, because you have had everybody in the country, and yes, in the country now, talking about Vanderbilt and Tennessee happening tomorrow here in Nashville. And there's a major question. If you're Vanderbilt, is it A.J. Swan? Is it Mike Wright? Like, who are you going with in this game against Tennessee?
So, all right, I'm going to ask you a quick question. What is the gentleman's name that has won 2 straight against Kentucky and Florida?
That would be Mike Wright.
Okay, yeah.
That's the answer?
Yeah, it's that simple.
Answer.
Now, I'm not going to, we're joking about it, right? And Clark Lee's, he has his reasons, and who am I to question him? But, yeah, the guy that's been winning, I think I'm going to roll with that guy.
All right, now, and the reason I say this is because earlier in the week, just like every single week, Clark Lee has been asked about A.J. Swan. A.J. Swan went out towards the very end of the game against South Carolina. You had Mike Wright came in right after that. Vanderbilt did lose that game, but then Mike Wright has started the last 2 weeks. But every single week, Clark Lee has been asked, all right, who are you starting, A.J. Swan or Mike Wright? Here's what Coach Lee said earlier this week.
He's still working his way back, and we expect him to be kind of available and full go at practice tomorrow. We have to see. I mean, he hasn't played football in a while, so we want to be conscious of that. Obviously, we know his skills, and he's certainly accumulated enough reps this year to be ready. He has to be healthy. If he's healthy, then, again, the decision tips to the person who gives our team the best chance to win. Obviously, Mike is coming off 2 weeks where he's run the offense to a level of effectiveness where we've had success in the run game, and we've also found success throwing the ball, too, and we don't discount that. And so, for us, this is a matter of here late in the year, knowing that all our chips are on the table and that, we're playing and fighting to extend our season. We'll make the decision necessary to what we feel like position our team best to win.
So here's the crazy thing about this is, yes, I understand this team for Vanderbilt has been better with Mike Wright as far as his running ability. A.J. Swan actually has the better numbers.
Yeah.
Like passing-wise, A.J. Swan so far this season as a starter has 998 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Mike Wright, through his 2 starts that he's had recently, has thrown 4 touchdowns, but he's also thrown 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about Wright that is helping this offense, in my opinion, has to do more with his running ability, because you saw that against Kentucky. You also saw that against Florida last week, is his ability that if nothing is there to scramble, That to me is kind of that factor of, all right, like, that the pass game really isn't there right now, even though you want to use that against Tennessee, that maybe Wright, being his mobility, is going to give you the answer to trying to beat Tennessee tomorrow.
Well, okay, so that's a fascinating question, because if you look at the Tennessee defense, I mean, the one thing that it does do well is stop the run, right? Now, mostly against running backs, right? But, I mean, they've done it, against quarterbacks too. You look at, LSU, right? That is fascinating. Now, with Clark Lee and with any coach, really, like, answering it that way, very, diplomatic, really not tipping your hand to anything. Yeah, I mean, you got to play the game just to make you prepare and spend however long. If you spend 6 hours preparing for both quarterbacks, if you spend 10 minutes preparing, I at least took 10 minutes from you, right? Yeah. So I get that part. But yeah, it is an actual question, because what we just saw from South Carolina, and we're not saying that these guys are, Spencer Rattler, but dude, like, the pass works, right? Like, using the pass, it seemed to work. So yeah, I walk back my initial question to you of, hey, who's the guy who won 2 straight? Because I kind of see a little bit more of it, of how you just laid it out. It makes sense.
Well, the problem with it is that the thing with South Carolina, and the reason why Tennessee lost that football game, isn't just because Tennessee has like a bad secondary or anything along those lines. Their secondary actually has not been like the worst thing in the NFL. Like, when you're talking about pass defense. Now, it actually is now because of what happened against South Carolina. It wasn't going into the game because Vanderbilt had the worst passing defense in the SEC. But now Tennessee does. The problem is that South Carolina with Rattler and that offense, that matched up well for them. We hear it all the time. Like, we were talking about that last week. You and Brent were talking about, look, man, this doesn't match up well.
Yeah.
The thing about Vanderbilt and the thing about their running attack, which is exactly what they're good at, Tennessee has the 3rd best rushing defense in the SEC. That plays into their hand. So that is something that if you're going to go with your bread and butter, which with Mike Wright, the passing game hasn't been amazing. Yes, he has thrown some touchdown passes. That's how they beat Kentucky. I get that. But his first touchdown against Kentucky was like a 59-yard scramble that he eventually busted it up the middle for a touchdown. Yeah. And it was because of his legs. With this Vanderbilt team, yes, the run game is where you have been succeeding the past few weeks. Against Kentucky, I want to actually get South Carolina and Kentucky, you rush for over 200 yards. Florida, not as much, but the running game is where you're best with. Okay, that rushing game is solid. The problem is what beats Tennessee is the passing game.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw the past week against South Carolina, is that secondary is struggling, especially when it's the worst in the SEC. So, yes, who do you go with, A.J. Swan or Mike Wright? Because this isn't what I was just talking about earlier. College Game Day, not just College Game Day, but the College Football Playoff Committee, they had their show Tuesday night. Okay, Kirk Herbstreit mentioned it in the fact that he, in the way that they're going to be looking at their underdogs for this week, they were talking about, he was already saying, here is who I'm picking, and he chose Vanderbilt.
I'm claiming Vandy right now before you are going to even get close to that, Reese. So I got Vandy outright on Saturday. Outright on Saturday.
Hey, show your gold, have fun, expect to win. Some of the many mantras that Vanderbilt's had over the years.
Or you could say Clark Lee has a team that's playing for bowl eligibility, which is a big deal in the city of Nashville, and Tennessee is not necessarily playing for bowl eligibility, and their opportunity to get into the playoff is gone. They're fighting amongst themselves in the locker room. Things are not good right now in Knoxville. So, and plus Hendon Hooker obviously has that injury. So I got a weird feeling on Vandy this week.
There you go. And I tell you what, you're good at picking up on the vibes.
Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
You quizzed me. Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
Who right now, Ray Davis, running back for Vanderbilt, where in the SEC does he rank in rushing?
3rd.
4th.
Nice.
I mean, seriously, he is 4th. He is averaging over 89 yards a game. He is 4th in the SEC. And that's why when you're looking at one of the guys he's back behind is Judkins, who just played the other night, and that's the reason why he has as many yards as he does. Ray Davis is a major problem with Vanderbilt and them running this football.
Yeah.
Where do you go with him? Because of if Wright is going to be that issue and Wright's going to be your quarterback, it's going to be the run game like it is, then you're going to be doing your read options. You're going to be needing to do those because just against Florida, you saw triple option, you saw read option, you saw RPOs, you saw all of that with him because the deep ball just isn't there for him right now. And in fact, if you're Tennessee, if you just take away the right side of the field from hash mark to the out of bounds marker, you take that right side away, Mike Wright is not having a good season throwing the football. Yeah. That right side of the field is his absolute favorite. In fact, through his time there and so far on the right side of the field, he's already thrown 3 touchdowns there just in the 2 games that he's been back. And that's where he's thrown it majority of the season to the right side. He's only thrown 1 touchdown to the other parts of the field.
Yeah.
That's his favorite side. You take that away from him, now this is just going to be a running tag for Vanderbilt. But again, comes down to motivation. One's going for bowl eligibility. Yeah. One they're trying to figure out if they want to play in New Year's 6 or not.
Yep, that's a great point. And I'll also say this. If anybody has noticed Tennessee, the difference of them playing at home and playing on the road this year, let me give you some numbers here real quick, all right? 7-0 at home, 2-2 on the road, okay? Tennessee at home averages 55.3 points per game. On the road, 31.3. Wow. Yeah, that much of a difference, 24 points, all right? Total yards per game at home, 604. On the road, 428. They have a points per game difference at home, a positive 33 points on the year. On the road, negative 1.3. I say all that to say this. I guarantee that Clark Lee is looking at that and, their entire coaching staff and saying, okay, there's a difference of this team playing at home and on the road. And obviously there's a new quarterback, so that throws a whole new wrinkle into this. But just in general, you know what? The longer this game goes with Tennessee on the road, that they're not like jumping out to a huge lead early, it gets bad for them. And that's kind of been, Georgia just owned the game, right? South Carolina did too. But that's kind of like, if you don't let Tennessee get up on you on the road, good luck. Like you're kind of there. Like that's kind of the game plan. So going into a quarterback like you were talking about to where he can use his legs, and if he can find success, churn clock, get some field goals, get a touchdown in there, whatever. Like that old homage of like keep Tennessee's offense off the field. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that works, but sometimes that can hurt you as well. But just churning clock and staying in the game puts all the pressure. All the pressure's on Tennessee. All of it in this game. Like Vanderbilt, I know they're playing for bowl eligibility, and that certainly is internal. They want to do that. But perceptually, like Tennessee has to come out and bounce back and win this game. Vanderbilt's playing with house money. Right. So,
well, and again, we talk about on the road or at home. I mean, that again, we know that there's a possibility that this could be a home game for Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like, all the road and home things for when it comes to that field kind of may go out the window based on everything that is going to be happening with all the fans coming into this because, you heard it on 3HL about there were fans that were people that you could literally walk up and still get tickets, and you could get group tickets for this game earlier in the season.
Yeah.
And this ticket is extremely expensive to get into this stadium coming up on tomorrow. So phone lines are open to you. We have got an update from Cincinnati about some players that will and will not be playing. Remember, the last injury report when it comes to the Titans is not scheduled to be out until about 3 o'clock today. We will be off the air by then. We will not have it. But we do have some information about the Bengals and who they are going to be bringing to Nashville for that game with the Titans coming up on Sunday. 615-737-1045. Joe Hunk, Allan Bell, in with you on this Black Friday. This is 1045 The Zone. Good afternoon, 12 o'clock on 104.5 The Zone. Joe Hunk, Allan Bell, in with you on this Black Friday that, yes, we have college football going on. We have NFL football that happened all day yesterday, as well as the Egg Bowl, which we talked about. 3 ranked versus ranked matchups that are going to be happening this weekend in college football. And I can guarantee you that if before the season started, if I would have said Tulane and Cincinnati would have been a ranked versus ranked matchup going into Black Friday, you would have called me crazy. But right now, that game is in the second quarter, tied at 3. The game that we have on in the 104.5 The Zone studios is Texas and Baylor. Right now, Texas has a 14-12 lead on Baylor. Coming up here in just a little bit. 2:30, NC State and North Carolina get going. You've also got UCLA and Cal tonight, and Florida State at 6:30. But Allan Bell, looking your normal 9-to-5 job of what you really do to make money, you make money because you have Texas and Baylor playing right now. Was this one of the games that you thought, like looking at the spread as far as what to expect today? What did you see about this Texas Baylor game?
Well, you look at Texas, right, and Texas is one of the most frustrating teams to bet on. They're a lot like the Dallas Cowboys. All right, so we had the Cowboys yesterday on Thanksgiving that were 9.5-point favorites. They've got the cover. The Giants score with 2 seconds left. Backdoor cover, right? Texas is a lot like that, too. They'll play up and they'll play down to their competition. So if anybody out there that bets regularly, like, they're probably nodding their head like, dude, I've lost money on Texas where it should have been easy. And I'm not saying that the Baylor is, but Texas will just frustrate you, man. Like, they're a tough team to bet on.
615-737-1045 is how you can get in. Our man Robert is over there doing his thing, getting it going. Some of us had some fun on Thanksgiving. Robert had a little bit more fun than a lot of us did on Thanksgiving. How you feeling, man?
I am struggling. I'm struggling.
I will tell you, though, I did not do a Zone TV shot that would include you because I figured that you would be very appreciative of people not seeing how you look right now.
I'm very appreciative of that. I didn't get jumped, for those wondering. I'm just violently hungover, and Hunk is doing me a solid.
Our man's pushing through it. I give him credit, yeah.
He is pushing through it, but look, before we get into these updates about the Bengals, because we found out who is and who may not be playing coming up on Sunday between the Bengals and the Titans, can we talk about the bowl that's outside the control room right now?
Please.
The bowl.
A plastic bowl.
A plastic bowl that is filled with what?
Water. And ice cubes.
Our man came in this morning because he's been here since what, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, like 8:30.
8:30, 9 o'clock. He's been here.
He's drinking water out of a bowl.
He's drinking water. He's trying to be hydrated after everything that happened last night.
There are no cups, man.
There were no cups. And so Robert found a bowl like he's a cat, and he put a bowl of water and ice in there, and he's been turning it up and drinking it all morning long. We didn't have any cups for him.
Let me say this. I've seen a lot of hungover people. I've been hungover myself. I believe that we all have. I've never seen that move. That's a new one. And I've seen a lot of things.
It's not just that. It's water. It's ice water. He's got ice in the water.
The ice is in that. Yeah. That's the best part.
All right. I love you, man. Just letting you know. Anybody that calls and you hear Robert and he just doesn't have the same pep that he normally does, that's the reason why. 615-737-1045. You can also watch us on Zone TV, like I just mentioned, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch.
Hey, and let me say that.
You got
Twitch, please.
Twitch, please. That's
Anytime
right.
you get to be Don, I will always jump in for that.
Absolutely.
And if anybody wants to kind of ride with a live bet right now, we have 11 minutes and 3 seconds left in the first half of Tulane and Cincinnati. We need 17 points. Doesn't matter who scores them. We need 17 points. So if you're following along at home, on the road, wherever, we need 17 points in essentially 10 minutes. It's a big ask. But you know what? Crazier things have happened.
Absolutely. Now, Zach Taylor just a little while ago met with the media. Mike Vrabel is going to meet with the media coming up here in an hour and a half. We will have that for you on 104.5 The Zone. But Zach Taylor has announced that Joe Mixon is officially out for the game on Sunday between the Titans and the Bengals. He also mentioned that Jamar Chase has had a great week of practice but he is going to be listed as questionable for the game on Sunday. That man is playing.
Yeah.
There is no way that you have Joe Burrow coming out and he's not going to have Joe Mixon or Jamar Chase.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised by Mixon. Like, he's definitely banged up because Mixon's a tough dude. Like, he's kind of like, when Derrick Henry is banged up, right? Like, he might not practice all week. Saturday, Sunday's good to go, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it goes to show that, Joe Mixon's definitely, like, for real injured.
Well, you're going to get a lot of times, like we saw it on Wednesday with the first injury report with the Titans. Derrick Henry did not practice. It said non-injury related reason. It's because it's his rest day, because now you've gotten to double digits in whatever week it is in college, in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's, hey, man, we need to make sure that this guy's, his legs are okay, because he's going to be a major part of this offense going through here. The question's going to be now for the Bengals is if Joe Burrow is going into this game without Joe Mixon, who is the number 4 running back right now in the NFL, according to PFF. He also has, and this is where it's interesting, he also is one of the worst running backs in pass blocking in the NFL. Flip that around, Samaje Perine is one of the best pass blockers in the NFL when it comes to running backs. So now Samaje, who had a very good game against the Steelers last week, is going to be your feature back on Sunday. But does this mean that they're going to continue to try to run the football? But this means that they're probably going to pass it more, right?
Yeah, it's fascinating because, I mean, certainly, a running back can, appear that he's in pass pro and, he's actually running the football. And it could be in pass pro, chip, go out, catch short yardage passes as a de facto run game. It's kind of like what Dallas does.
Yes.
Like Ezekiel Elliott's probably the best pass protection running back in the NFL. And he could run. But Tony Pollard's out there too. So I'm fascinated with that. I also think that, we were just talking about the matchups of Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. I mean, clearly, right? Like Tennessee, the Titans, that front seven can do work. Like, it's tough to run the football on them. Like, you're definitely going to look to pass. And that's where they had success last year in that matchup. Yeah, like the chess match in this game is going to be phenomenal. I think both offenses are definitely going to have success. From a sports betting standpoint, I like the over 43.5 in this. Like, I think both teams are going to put up some points here. But yeah, like the protection part, because if you get after Joe Burrow, that team is completely different.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like you might the Bengals might lose like 50% of their run game because they absolutely need Samaje Perine to be in there and block. So, yeah, I'm fascinated to see that.
3 of the 4 losses that the Bengals have had this season, in 3 of those games, Joe Burrow was sacked for 5+ times.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
That's the reason why this team lost. Now, look, every single Titans fan is thinking, yeah, we sacked him 9 times in January. Like, we know that we can get to the quarterback, okay? Yeah. This is also one of the top 5 passing offenses in the NFL, and he's possibly going to get Jamar Chase back. So pressure with the front 4 is going to be the biggest thing for this. And yes, I could fully expect now Samaje Perine going to be in the backfield more doing pass protection than he is be getting out. Now, what that's probably going to mean is what you talked about with the chip. You're going to see more screens with him. You're possibly going to be seeing more out routes into the flats with him. I think that's where you're going to be seeing that for him, because their run game is one of the 5 worst in the NFL.
Yeah.
And the Titans have one of the best run defenses in the NFL. But this is where it matches up, where the Titans have the 3rd worst pass defense and the Bengals have the 4th best passing offense.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and add in this too. T. Higgins has been playing well in Jamar Chase's absence, right? So now they've got 2 weapons.
Mm-hmm. And Boyd.
Yeah.
And Boyd.
Yeah.
And then you also had Hayden Hurst playing better as well.
Yeah.
He has weapons.
Yeah. Yeah. It's time. I mean, you nailed it right there. Like, it's the same thing with Tannehill. Like, we're starting to see the last couple of weeks, we've seen this Titans offense step out. We're starting to see, 1, they just scored the most points that they have all season long. 2, you're starting to see the ball, air yardage in terms of the passing game go deeper down the field, right? Because Tannehill's got a little bit more time. You take that time away, good luck. There's nothing that you could do. You know what I mean? So, especially with extra rest, too, since the Titans played on Thursday night. Yeah, I'm fascinated to see how aggressive, this pass rush is going to be.
Well, and the crazy thing about this is when you've watched Bengals games, Joe Burrow is actually great against a blitz.
Yeah.
Like, that's the weirdest thing in the world is he is better against
throws
the
at
blitz.
it. Yeah, it makes
exactly.
sense. Yeah.
He has not thrown an interception this season when being blitzed.
That's incredible.
He has not thrown an interception.
Yeah. And
he has like 9 touchdown passes on a blitz.
I was going to say, in his first game, he had like 5 interceptions, right? Like,
yes.
It's wild. I mean, it makes sense, though. Like, sometimes, like, some quarterbacks are like that. You just throw at the blitz and go. Man, that's another interesting wrinkle, too. Like, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, you saw the Giants, all right, against the Cowboys yesterday on Thanksgiving. As that game went, in the second half, the Cowboys were having success because the Giants were just dialing up, blitzes, and you weren't getting there.
Yes.
And then you just left your secondary on an island, right? So, yeah, man, like, this is going to be one of those where, yeah, you have a plan, but you have like 6 other plans that like you're ready to implement at any moment.
Oh, absolutely. That's where your Amani Hooker being back, the Christian Fulton, seeing his availability, seeing Elijah Molden, all of this stuff. That to me is going to be the more important thing when this injury report comes out here in a few hours, because those are the players that you're going to need to rely on, as well as Avery, as well as obviously the mayor. All of those players in the backfield that are in that secondary is what's going to be important, because you're going to be in nickel and dime for a ton of this football game.
Yeah.
Because if Jamar Chase is on the field, you're going to want to make sure that you don't get beat deep. But you also can't blitz because of how good Joe Burrow is against the blitz. So it's a very unique situation. That's why I also think that you saw Big Jeff out for the Broncos game, because then it gave him enough time to rest up for the Packers. Then after the Packers, he's had that 10-plus days to now get ready for this Bengals matchup. He's had enough time to have that. So that is where you have him with Tart, as well as if Danico can be back on the field, depending on what's going on with him. We'll find out, again, in about 3 hours when that final injury report comes out. Those players are going to be the most important because, again, you're not going to want to blitz them because you're going to need as many people in that second and third layer of the defense to make sure that you are being able to protect the ball or protect your secondary, because now you don't want Joe Burrow to get let loose, because, again, Samaje's not going to beat you running the football. He's going to beat you in the pass game because of his pass pro.
Yeah, and, an element of this game is going to be that the Titans' offense can be a big part of its defense, using Derrick Henry, running the football, controlling the clock, not going as far as like, hey, we need to keep their offense off the field, but kind of keeping their offense off the field. You limit how many opportunities Joe Burrow has. Going to have to win the turnover battle. One, not turning it over offensively, not throwing, poor interceptions, especially, giving them short fields. But 2, creating a turnover. Like, 1 would be incredibly big.
Yes.
2, like finding any way that you can, hands up on the defensive line. I mean, all those little things, which Mike Vrabel and his coaching staff are phenomenal at, and we hear Coach Mack talk about it all the time, the little things, like just get a tip pass. Tier Tart, right? Like, he's phenomenal at it. Like, just get a tip pass in the air. You don't know what's going to happen. All those little things are going to add up because you're going to have to win those. And I don't say that just on the Titans side. I say the same thing for the Bengals, because I think the Titans offense is going to have, success as well. So I'm fascinated. And if you want a little nugget on that real quick, if you look at the sports books, they give out team totals, okay, of essentially kind of set the line of where they think the points are going to be.
Right.
They've got the Bengals 22.5. They've got the Titans 20.5. So that's kind of where they have it, and then you decide from there. So going to be a pretty tight game, 3 touchdowns each. Who's getting a field goal? Who creates that turnover? Yeah.
Do they have second half points in that one?
They will, not yet.
Okay, just want to see how
right?
To see what the Titans number is. I was just kind of curious. I mean, I just really kind of am. I'm also curious as to Moonshine. Marc Mariani. He joins 3HL every single Friday. They're not going today. Everybody is on vacation, getting ready. Probably Dawn's probably shopping like crazy. So instead, we got him coming on with us. He's going to have his blood in the water pick. And then after that, our phone line's going to be open once again, 615-737-1045. Don't forget, you can watch on Zone TV as well, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. You can also hop in there and get in on the show today. Let's go and talk to our man Moonshine when we come back on 1045 The Zone. 1045 The Zone. Joe Hunk, Allan Bell in with you on this Black Friday. We've got college football going. Texas up on Baylor 17-12 right now. Allan Bell joining us in studio today. Allan, before we get to our man Marc Mariani and talk a little bit about the Titans-Bengals game, just a few seconds ago, the Texans made it official that Kyle Allan is going to be starting for the Texans going into Miami. From a betting standpoint, how does that flip when it comes to the lines for a game like this against the Dolphins?
Yeah, it depends on the quarterback, right? The difference between Davis Mills and him probably is negligible, right? But if you were going from a Ryan Tannehill to Malik Willis, and that's nothing against Malik Willis, it's just the level of Ryan Tannehill, that's going to affect you 2 to 3 points. If you were going from Patrick Mahomes,
right.
I mean, that's 5-6 points, which is crazy because it's usually not that way, but it's just how good that these quarterbacks are, right? Like, look at the difference between the outdoor game before the snow canceled, in Buffalo, and they moved it to Detroit. That moved the total from 42 to 49, right? Just from going from bad weather outside, dome, like that's a full touchdown. Right. You know what I mean? So, yeah, in Houston, that you won't see too much of a difference there just because of those names. But if it were bigger, for sure.
All right, now pay attention to that because there's still a month until the Titans and the Texans play each other.
Yeah.
And that is going to be your Christmas Eve game.
It is, isn't it?
It is your Christmas Eve kickoff at noon, December 24th. But we're here on Black Friday. Allan Bell, Joe Hunk. Phone lines are going to be open to you in just a second, 615-737-1045. But in the meantime, let's go to our man, Marc Mariani, bro. How was Montana?
Oh, my gosh, dude. Montana is sick. We had college game day. My boys got our absolute butts kicked. Don't want to talk about that, but I'll take it on the chin. It's playoff time in FCS now, so we don't have to talk about that game anymore. But, we were up here last Saturday, and college game day came to Bozeman, Montana, which is Montana State. Let's get it very clearly. I went to University of Montana. I don't want we're not going to muddy that water. We don't like those guys. But it was fun to be here and to show off what we got going on in this neck of the woods. And so my boys, the Montana Grizzlies, got a little bit of a beat down here. But you know what? It's all good, man. We're gonna keep riding. And the beauty of FCS football is we got a playoff system. So we're in the playoffs, and anything can happen now. So, anyway, it was awesome, and I appreciate you guys letting me show that off a little bit.
Well, no, reason I really was asking is because, again, you talk about Montana so much and how much you love it, and you're from there, and obviously you showed that love last week. But, bro, what did it mean for you to seriously wake up on a Saturday and go, oh, my goodness, college game day is literally here for us?
Oh, man, it was very special, man. It was really special. And like I said, I'm a little biased to the other side of the state, to Missoula, Montana, and we tried to get game day there last year. But in general, just to have that on Saturday morning and, my phone was blowing up and everybody was, sending me the game day shots and everything, to be able to show you guys and show everybody else what we got going on. It's really special, and we live in SEC country, right? And to me, I've seen that. Firsthand how wild it is in SEC country. But we think we're pretty crazy up here too. And although it is FCS, a level down, we play a pretty good brand of football, and it was fun to be able to show the world what we're made of, and hopefully they'll be in Missoula soon. But like I said, it's a special place and near and dear to my heart, and I got to share that, with the entire country, and I appreciate game day and those boys for letting me do that.
Dude, Marc, this is Allan Bell. First off, you're my guy, and you guys, let's go, man. Hey, dude.
For all of 1045, you guys, do you guys know who you're listening to? If you want to make some real cash, you got to get with Allan Bell, dude. This dude is an absolute savage. I don't even know why bookies will take him. He's such a heater. But anyway, what's up, my brother?
Hey, bro, I was going to say, look, man, the wire transfer's coming through. Appreciate you saying that. Well done there. No, but you guys showed out for sure. And you know what? You brought up a good point, man, about the playoff system. And we're seeing that now getting integrated. Obviously, we've had it for a little while. But, dude, there's something about like the FCS, like not only through the regular season, but throughout the playoff, like, dude, this is grown man's football, and it's been that way for a while. Do you think that the playoff system, with it being, different through the last 10, 15 years, that kind of brought it out? Or is this just a northwest, north, whatever geographical region? Like, you're just tough. Like, you have no other option than just to be just a stud, you know?
Well, I think, listen, Montana in general, you know, is one of those small town places where we live and dive on the football field, right? I mean, when you have a Friday Night Lights game going on or a Saturday game going on, the whole town shuts down, man. And we just that is all we have going on, so we just live and breathe it. But in the FCS, man, there is great football being played all over the country, and you know, it gets kind of kicked to the curb a little bit for people that aren't paying much attention to it. But this time of year is pretty special. You know, everybody looks at the FBS system with 4 teams and the 6 and the 8, and always talking about how big are they going to expand it. Well, we do it pretty good, and you know, for being in the University of Montana and playing in these playoffs for 4 years when I was in school, it's an amazing environment you set up because now we're in. So we're in now. We got, like I said, we got spanked last week, but now anything can happen. It's just like the tournament, and you got to go prepare. And I think that creates a really cool, a very cool scenario where, you know what, there's teams that are going to get upset. You know, there's teams that are going to get hot at the right time or get healthy at the right time, and you got to go prove it on the football field, and it's pretty special. So anyway, I'm partial to FCS. We put out a lot of good football players, and especially at Montana, we had a factory there for a minute. We're going to get back to it, but it's pretty fun. And like I said, I think that system allows teams to get in that tournament and get hot and go win one for the Gipper and upset some teams and go to that national championship. So I think we created a little bit of a model to look at for FBS.
I love it, dude.
Now, Marc Mariani joins us right now, the former Tennessee Titan, but you're also a former Chicago Bear. The only reason I'm asking you is because I know that you played in one Thanksgiving game. How many Thanksgiving games did you get in?
Oh, I was thinking about that yesterday. I think I played the Lions as well one time. But, man, one of the greatest days of my life was I grew up a cheesehead, so I'll throw that out there. But we played the Packers at Lambeau Field on Thanksgiving night on the late game, like last night, and it was actually the day that or the game that Brett Favre got his jersey retired into the Ring of Honor there.
Wow.
And they made a big thing about it, and you know, he was my hero growing up. Now, we're not going to talk about all the off-the-field stuff.
No.
I'm not getting into it, but he was my hero growing up. And so, dude, when not only did I come down the tunnel onto Lambeau Field, which our boys just did that and absolutely laid a butt kicking on the Pack last weekend, but I go down the tunnel and I see Lambeau Field and I'm licking my chops. I'm like, this is the greatest. But then for the retirement ceremony, all the boys are up. Donald Driver, Sterling Sharp, Des Howard, all these guys, Amon Green, all the boys that I watched, Jordy Nelson growing up, were all out there for Favre's retirement, and I was just wide-eyed.
Awesome.
The Bears, those darn pesky Chicago Bears, go and beat the Packers on Thanksgiving night, and your boy, who's on the radio waves with you, ended up getting the game ball that night. And so it was a very special game for me, and I'll never forget that one. So,
dude, that's
thanks for
awesome.
letting me tell that glory story. Yeah, it was amazing.
No,
man.
what's bad is I was only asking you because I had the Bears-Lions game pulled up from like 2014. I totally didn't even know about the Green Bay game.
Dude, I'll say this, man. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, I can't. There might have been. We might have played. The Titans might have played on Thanksgiving. I can't remember. I feel like I had a couple, but that I can't even get past that game at Lambeau when I think about Thanksgiving. My brain doesn't let me because it was such a big night for me.
Dude, all right. So here's a random question. I love getting the inside right for former players at the NFL level, the college level. All right, one stadium that surprised you. There could be college, NFL, whichever, that surprised you. Like, whoa, this place is actually awesome, right? And then number two. Who had the worst visitors' locker room that you're like, I hate playing here on the road?
Oh, man. Put me on the spot here. Well, I would say the first thing that comes to mind would be Arrowhead, and that's an easy cop-out. But I say that.
It's real, though, yeah.
It's real. It's bone-crushingly loud, and I've actually beaten them with the Titans and with the Bears at Arrowhead.
Nice.
So And I was involved in a couple of just barn burner games that place got shook up loud. And so I've had some special memories in there. I'm trying to think. I had to go through the Minnesota Vikings era where they were playing at Gopher Stadium, one of the worst places. And it was like it was like 20 below with wind chill, and it was some nasty games. That sucked. Playing in the old San Diego Chargers Stadium was absolutely abysmal.
Yeah.
And it was so terrible. Here's another funny one for you, not in the NFL, but I've actually played at Iowa where they have those pink locker rooms.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. So you got this soft pink going on. So that comes to mind. I'm trying to think what else.
Well, I'll put you on the spot. You just gave like 5 answers. Like, dude, that's why you're the man for sure. Like, yeah, you nailed that one.
Yeah. Those are the ones that come to mind. But those are all gone now. But I think everyone's pretty much got updates. But playing in that when San Diego had that stadium down there, you just knew that was falling apart at the seams. I mean, it was so awful. So I'm glad they're out of there. And I'll be with the boys in LA in a few weeks when we take on the Chargers. So I'll get to see the upgraded digs that those boys have out there.
Nice.
Bro, that is awesome. Marc Mariani joining us coming up here in just a few minutes. We'll have his blood in the water pick. Slay is actually on the chat now. He says that this pick should be easy. I'm not saying that he thinks he knows where you're going, but that's where he thinks. But before we get to there, you mentioned it. Packers, Lambeau, Titans go in there. It's snowing to start the football game, and the Titans just ran all over the Packers, man. How great was that to watch?
It was unbelievable, man, and that's our brand of football. But you know what? I say that, and then I second-guess myself because, truthfully, the way that Ryan Tannehill throwing for 333 or whatever it was, that really isn't our brand of football. And I'll tell you what, man, a couple things I want to point out. One, if we can play offense like that, we are going to be so damn nasty with this defense. I mean, that was a double, triple threat of who's coming at you. Dontrell Hilliard, Derrick Henry. We got Traylon Burks coming back. I mean, it was so fun to see us getting into a little bit of rhythm throwing the football. And having Traylon back is so pivotal to this offense, and you can see it. And here's why to me, because it allows everybody else to play their natural position. Traylon's the guy who we need to go win one-on-ones, right? We need him to be the guy that defenses are scared of so they can't stack the box and not leave help over top. We need him to be that guy, and he showed that. And I think if we can get some consistency from him out there, it's going to change the way defenses play us. But it also allows Robert Woods to take that Z spot, which he's not the guy we need to be winning one-on-ones. Robert Woods, at this point in his career, is not that number one guy, week in and week out. So it allows him to play his more natural position, which is that consistent route runner, the guy who's running every route in the route tree, the guy that can do a little bit of everything. It allows the whole receiving room to play their natural positions when you have Traylon back in the game. And two, guys, to me, this speaks about how great this guy is. But as we got the league leading rusher in the NFL, right? And we got an absolute beast, and everyone got to see that. And everyone's texting me, "Oh, Derrick Henry's a beast." Well, as good as he has been, I still think we're underutilizing this guy, man. I still want to see us get him to the second level. We gotta scheme him up to get to the second level. Derrick Henry is most dangerous when he has a little space to work with. He's most dangerous when he can use that stiff arm, when he can see where the defenders are coming from. If I got to sit and have a cup of coffee with Todd Downey, I would ask him straight up, why are we putting these tight splits on Derrick? Everybody's playing in the box against him, and of course he's falling forward for 3 or 4 yards every time, but he's only averaging 4.4 a carry, guys. It's not like he's, blowing the roof off in that respect. He has 230 carries this year, which is a ton, and I just think it seems like he hasn't been in the open field as much this year as in years past. Even though he's leading the league in rushing, even though he ran all over the Green Bay Packers, he still carried the ball 30 times for 87, I think it was, or something like that. And so to me, as good as he's been, I still think there's more juice left in that squeeze. I still think we need to scheme him up, get him on the second level, and then really watch him do his work. And nobody can stop him when he can use all of his weapons. But anyway, it was fun to watch that offense get to work. We know what the defense has done, and we're going to keep putting pressure on teams. And so anyway, I love where we're sitting right here coming down the home stretch. And Coach Raves has obviously got these boys playing at a high level, and there is nobody in the NFL. There is nobody that wants to see the Tennessee Titans on their playoff in the first round playoff or second round playoff matchup. Nobody wants to see these boys on the field.
Wait, look, you mentioned something about not utilizing Derrick Henry as much. Right now, Derrick Henry also has 18 pass receptions for almost 200 yards. Like, what kind of depth is that adding to this man if he can catch the football outside the tackles?
And throw it.
Yeah,
throw it.
Hey, that's a good point. I checked that stat this morning. We are one away from his career high. He had 19, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, and we have 7 games to play, and he has the ability. He's going to go way over his career high, and so I think that is extremely pivotal. It gives our offense another dynamic weapon where they can't just cue in and say, hey, he's just going to run the ball every time. I mean, he ended that game. He put a nail in the coffin when he took that screen pass against the Packers down to the 2-yard line or whatever it was. And to be able to do that is unbelievable. And I remember they were working with him to get his hands going back, 3 or 4 years ago. And he's really showing that he can do it all. And I just, that's another reason, I don't want to see him get 30 carries a game. I'd rather see him get, 22 carries and 4 or 5 targets and to get to his 25, 27 number. So anyway, I love what I'm seeing out of the receiving game from him. And it just adds another dimension where you don't know what we're up to with him. But guys, listen, a couple big games and he's back in the MVP conversation. He's got to be, dude. If he gets back to that, sniffing 2,000 again, put that dude up. He's unstoppable. He's an absolute monster.
Monster. Dude, monster. I 100% agree with you. Now, as a wide receiver, Mark, I'm going to ask you this. So, seeing the Titans offense, let's just say the last 2 weeks, right? It looks like the offensive line is doing everything that they can to give Tannehill just a little bit more time. And I think that we're seeing it both in the air yards of Tannehill putting the ball, and we're seeing the wide receivers, benefit from that as well, right? So is there anything that you're seeing from this offense, as a former wide receiver? And then number 2, right? Like, how important is it? Because we all hear it, we all know it, but you really know it. How important is it for a wide receiver and a quarterback to get in a rhythm in the game? Because it looks like once Ryan Tannehill does that, like, the dude is just lethal with it, man. So, yeah, like, how important is that rhythm for you guys between the receiver and the quarterback?
Oh, it is pivotal, and that's why the more reps that he and Treylon get together on the field is just going to make a huge difference. But I want to say this, and I want to put this on record. I think Malik has a lot of tools, and it'll be fun to watch in the future. But having him go in those couple in that small sample size of games, to me, the thing that stood out the most of that when Tannehill came back is how freaking tough Ryan Tannehill is, man. That dude stands in the pocket with a different O-line every single week, and he stands in the pocket and he delivers that football, and he is leading this football team the last 3 years or whatever. He's about, he's creeping up on all-time wins for our franchise already, guys. And so to me, those games that he was out, I really appreciated more what he's given to this team and what he's done for this team, because he takes shots left and right with a big line. Now we're settling in, but anyway, I wanted to get that out there. Tannehill's toughness is extremely underrated, and it is fun to see what he can do. If we can protect him and get it out and get those boys in rhythm, like you said, I think it's going to even be better. But anyway, getting on the same page, getting reps with Treylon, getting Robert Woods into his natural position, I think is going to help this team immensely. And then you got Austin Hooper coming back into the mix. He's starting to get more targets. We've seen what he can do. And then obviously everybody knows we want to get Chig going. That a freak athlete like that, you got to get the football. But I love what Ryan Tannehill, kind of brings and what we're settling into here. If we can become two-dimensional, we are going to be so hard to stop. So I think, the more reps together on field with live action is the best recipe for those boys getting on the same page.
All right, this is a warning for anybody that is waiting for it. The blood in the water pick is about to come, but we got to talk about last week. We got to talk.
I deserve it.
He deserves it. Robert, hit it.
I deserve it.
All right, so Mark, I'll be honest with you. So I'll be honest with you. I was talking with the guys beforehand, and so you picked last week Montana to beat Montana State. You've mentioned at the beginning of this that didn't really go well.
Didn't go well at all.
Didn't go well, but look, it's not about that. This week it's about Southeast Missouri State, right?
SEMO.
Oh, Simo, Eugene Amano, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go, Simo. Simo's not going to know what hit him when they go to Washington Grizzlies Stadium, baby. We're going to smack those dudes on the mouth.
Well, I will tell you that we almost came up with a new concept just for what happened last week, is that we were thinking about playing Baby Shark 1 second for every point that the team lost by.
Hey, well, let me.
No.
Yeah.
We got smacked. Hey, listen, we took it on the chin. I was decked out in my Grizz gear and I went out on the town. You guys know me, and you know what? As much smack as I've been talking throughout the week, people let me have it. So I took it on the chin, so I get my little 2 snippets a second there. I don't need any more, okay? I've already been humbled, all right?
Okay,
we got smacked.
All right, so now let's go with the right one. Let's hear the Blood in the Water intro as it's going right now. You ready?
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm ready.
Hit that one. And it is now time. Blood in the Water. Marc Mariani, where are you going this week?
Listen. I'm not gonna settle down here. I'm not even gonna get amped up. I'm just gonna get mad. What a lack of respect by these odds makers. What a bunch of disrespect for my boys at Nissan Stadium, 7-3, and these Bengals are going to come into our house. They're going to come into our house, and they're giving us 3 points. I think, Allan Bell, you know the number. Is it plus 125? And here's the deal. I can't even when I saw this line, I just started licking my chops. You want to talk about blood in the water? We got the best defense in the league the last 8 weeks. We got our offense clicking on all cylinders. We got our boy Treylon back. We got the MVP in the backfield. And you're telling me that these odd makers are going to give us 3 points? Well, here's what I got for them. We don't want them, baby. We do not want your points. Plus 125. Give me the Titans all day, and I'm taking that alt line. We're going to smack those Bengals. I don't care if Jamar Chase plays or not, dude. I cannot believe the disrespect at home at Nissan Stadium. And here's another piece of candy for you. There's blood in the water too, in Qatar, baby. The universe. Do you hear us?
Oh, here we go.
Do you hear us?
Yes.
Do you hear us? USA, USA. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. Plus 585 against England, baby. Walker Zimmerman's gonna make up for it. It's 50 go time. Let's go. Sprinkle that money line. Let's go, boys. I believe that we will win. Titans. USA, it's game time. There's blood in the water. Let's go.
I love Marc Mariani. Dude, I love him, dude. I know.
I'm telling you, he is Marc Mariani, bro. Have a great rest of your weekend and Black Friday, man. We will talk to you next Friday.
All right, boys. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Hey,
You
see you,
too,
bro.
man.
Be good.
There we go. Matter of fact, England and USA getting going in 17 minutes. We'll have updates for you on 104.5 The Zone as we continue going in it. Man, he talked a ton about Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
Look, I know the Titans,
truth, yeah.
and he spoke some truth. I know that people are saying this is not a revenge game for the Titans, but is this a revenge game for Ryan Tannehill? 615-737-1045. Joe Hunk, Allan Bell, in with you on this Black Friday. This is 104.5 The Zone. Joe Hunk, Allan Bell, in with you on this Black Friday on 104.5 The Zone. We appreciate everybody that's on Zone TV right now as well. Austin, excited about AB being in the house. Matter of fact, he says he hasn't been able to watch the entire thing. We've had Emmett coming in talking about Joe Milton. We'll get into that conversation a little bit more coming up in the next hour. Our man Slay is in. Yes, Slay, you were right. That is exactly where Marc Mariani went. The moment we saw that line at 1.5, you were like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, Mike Vrabel, like the last 9, we spoke about it. The last 9 games where the Titans had 8+ days of rest or more in the regular season. But the Titans, 9-0 straight up, 9-0 against the spread. Like, they handle their business, man.
Yeah, they have covered the spread. Isn't it like, aren't they on like an 8-game winning streak right now when it comes to whatever the spread is? Whatever the spread is, just take the Titans.
And I'll give you another one. We spoke last segment about team totals, right?
Yes.
And kind of the books put those out there. 8 straight, the Titans have held opponents under their team totals. So if anybody bets team props, there you go.
Yeah, Mike, we appreciate you hopping in as well on Zone TV. But Ryan Tannehill, we were talking about his point in this football game. Because look, we know it's Thanksgiving weekend. We know that you've got Black Friday. Everybody's doing all their Christmas stuff. My wife right now is putting up all of our Christmas stuff. Another reason why I'm kind of glad that I'm here, because I'm the one that had to get it all down from the attic last night.
Opening those boxes, yeah.
Dude, seriously, like the boxes just kept coming.
Yeah.
Like every single time she would be like, oh, I found another box. Just like, we joke about, oh, a piece of candy. Oh,
yeah.
Another Christmas box. Oh, another Christmas box. Let me get this one down. There were 12 boxes that we got down from the attic last night full of Christmas stuff for our house. We don't have a mansion. We don't have a mansion, okay? It's a 1-story house, and there's not a lot of room in it.
And that whole thing is in lights. There you go.
Exactly. It looks just like what first the Nashville Sound Stadium looks like right now.
Yeah.
Like it looks just like that. First Horizon. Like it looks identical. Like it's like you walk in and nothing but Christmas lights.
Yeah.
By the way, if you don't know what Enchant is, just look it up. It's going to be awesome.
I will. And I was also going to say, look, I live alone. Like I'm not married. I don't have any kids. So it's like, I have a candle. I'll light that. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't really put up anything. Now, I'm not saying that I'm against it. Like I love it. I love Christmas lights. I love all of it. It's awesome. But I feel like I did it one time and I was like, that was a lot of work for me.
Did it make me happy?
Yeah, I was like, it was cool. Like, I like seeing it. But then I was like, I took all of it. This is a true story. I took all of it, put it down, like put it, in boxes, threw it away.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no point for this.
Look, and I understand people that want to have, start Christmas early and all that sort of thing. I have my own beliefs with it. Again, in our house, Christmas does not start until after the Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Or meal, whatever it is. After that, all Christmas. After that, if you walk into our house right now, there's going to be one of 2 shows on. A football event, a football game, no matter what it is, or a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
One of the 2 is going to be on. Most likely The Grinch, because my son watches it 24/7.
He loves The Grinch?
He loves The Grinch during Christmas time. The moment The Grinch came back on, we had to DVR it, and now we've been watching nothing but The Grinch.
So you've got every song from that movie like stuck in your head.
100%. It's the reason why I actually love the new one, the cartoon version.
Yeah.
Because it actually has some legit music on it. Like we'll be driving down the road. He's like, oh, I like this one.
Yeah.
I really do. It's like Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, because my son loves Spider-Man. If you listen to that soundtrack is legit.
Yeah.
My son will walk around now singing Sunflower by Post Malone. He has no clue what he's singing, but he can sing it.
You know what? That's actually smart. And it kind of, again, no children, nothing, but going off of like the thought of Chuck E. Cheese sells beer for parents that are like, I am here like for 4 hours. Exactly.
Save me.
It's smart to take care of the parents and they're throwing you a bone. They're like, we're going to give you a legit soundtrack. Like this isn't going to be just like ringing in your head forever. It's a smart play.
No, and you're going to hear it because there's one song that's on Into the Spider-Verse that I have in the system that I put in the system that we'll play next hour. You're going to hear.
I keep wanting to sing No Doubt Walking to the Spider Webs.
What's weird is that song was never on there. Okay. But if you go on Saturday, tomorrow, if you're going to be over at Vanderbilt, I have listened to and watched enough Vanderbilt games that they play a Riot song. It's the name of, I forget the whole name, but the name of it has Riot in it. And they play it over at Vanderbilt. Like, that is a song from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like, it's part of it. But again, the soundtrack is amazing. So you'll hear that. You'll also hear your Timmy Trumpets or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
That's going to be played over there tomorrow as well. But
the Narco song?
Yeah, that does. They do it at third downs. Third downs, Vanderbilt.
Oh, I thought you meant the kids movie.
No,
okay.
that would be legit.
I was like, what?
No, that would be awesome. That would be great if they came out to that. Like, it was that big scene at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And they start to just slowly start to pan up on them, and all you hear is Timmy Trumpets going.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But you have that happening on Saturday. On Sunday, this is about revenge. May not be for the whole team, but it is for one player in particular, Ryan Tannehill. We will talk about that as well as take your phone calls. 615-737-1045. Joe Hunk, Allan Bell in with you on Black Friday. This is 1045 The Zone. Wait, does this mean that at the end of this, when Allan Bell and I say goodbye, we get to really do the in the meantime, in between time? Because now you're in the Blaine and Mickey hour, normally 1 to 3 every single Monday through Friday. I am Joe Hunk. Allan Bell is here as well. Zone TV is going.
So I'm not Don anymore. We've officially moved.
I mean, in reality, actually, you were just a ghost because normally Buck doesn't have anybody in studio unless it's a guest.
Yeah.
So you were just kind of over there chilling.
I was Ghost Man on second.
That's exactly what it was. We got Ghost Man on second.
I can deal with that. I've been called way worse. Yeah, I can deal with that.
I mean, at least it's a compliment.
Absolutely.
You're still around.
You know, it's something that's not negative. And I'll say this. You remember about 45 minutes ago, we said we needed 17 points. Right?
Yes.
Before the end of halftime?
Yes.
We got exactly 17 points. So there we go. Let's go.
There you go. Yep. That is your bet that's going on right now. You can shoot us a tweet, myself at Joe Hunk. Allan Bell is at Allan Bell 247. He says, Kevin joins in. He says he's stuck in traffic right now on 40 heading to Memphis and that he is enjoying the show. We appreciate that. Steven even shoot us a tweet. If you missed it earlier, Zach Taylor met with the media. He said that Joe Mixon is out on Sunday, but Jamar Chase is looking to be a game-time decision that he is questionable. Remember, Joe Burrow said earlier in the week that he actually expects Jamar Chase to be going on Sunday against Tennessee. Speaking of Tennessee, yes, right down the street from where we are, Vanderbilt and Tennessee going on tomorrow as well. You'll be able to hear that game right here on 104.5 The Zone, as you will also be able to hear the Titans game on Sunday. USA and England just got going a few seconds ago. It's a minute and a half in.
I thought you were going to say tipped off.
No, I almost said kicked off because, look, whenever I'm doing my updates, I always like to say, puck drop tonight at 7.
Yeah.
Tip off tonight at 6. By the way, there is no puck drop tonight at 7 because Bridgestone's flooded. So
hey, they should just freeze the water.
And
that's
boom,
a terrible joke.
No, they really actually. What's sad is that if it probably made its way down to the floor, it is frozen right now, which is a major issue to go. Because before I was in radio, I was working in an arena, and one of the things I had to do was I put in the ice.
Oh, wow.
I put in the ice. I put in the football field for arena football.
Yeah.
I was that guy.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. It makes you appreciate the people behind the scenes because we've seen it a lot with you'll see it sometimes with the Giants and the Jets of, oh, hey, we've got 2 football games happening within 24 hours. We got to get the field swapped over.
Yeah.
Or this happens a lot with the SEC championship and Atlanta Falcons game, where the championship will be going on, and then as the team is celebrating, the Mercedes-Benz Dome fans, or I should say their faculty, they're not school.
It's already getting to work on the other side?
Yeah, their facility people have already got that little machine out that scrubs the field away.
Those dudes are under the gun. They have no time.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
So those people, you gain a whole new respect for them because there was a period of time that we went from a arena football game to a NBDL basketball game to a minor league hockey game, all in the course of 48 hours.
Jeez.
Yeah, so you were doing, 3 or 4 different swap overs, and you were going in, like I would go home and then come back at like a 10 o'clock at night and work all the way to the next morning.
Yeah.
Trying to flip that stuff over. So, yeah, it's crazy. But the ice part of it, you joke, like, oh, the floor is at 20 degrees.
Yeah.
So when the water hits it, if it sits there long enough, yes, it will freeze. So that is a legit issue. So, no, if you miss what we're talking about, Bridgestone Arena had a pipe burst, water issue. The game tonight with the Avs is officially postponed. They have not set a makeup date. The Preds are supposed to be playing the Blue Jackets tomorrow. That game is still in question as well, so they do not know if that game is going to happen either because of this. So if you're driving around downtown Nashville right now and you're, around Country Music Hall of Fame or wherever you are and you see a bunch of people going into Bridgestone in scuba gear, there's a reason. It's because the place has a lot of water flooding right now.
So let me say this. All right, so from a bettor's mindset, immediately where I went to was, all right, so you have Colorado that was in town supposed to play tonight.
Absolutely.
Right? So they just got a free night off, which in the NHL is everything because these dudes are warriors, right?
Absolutely.
So immediately in my head, I'm like, okay, all right, they get a night off. I'm sure that they've traveled. They probably, as soon as the game was, postponed, wherever they're playing next, they probably just went, right, to go ahead and get acclimated, whatever. I'm fascinated to see where that line, kind of moves in terms of their money line. And if you could get some value on that. So I'm going to check into that in a minute. But yeah, man, it's rare in the NHL that you get a free night off. Changes. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I've got that schedule for you.
Yeah, please hit me.
So their schedule for it is on Wednesday night, they were in Denver hosting the Canucks.
Yep.
They lost 4-3. They flew to Nashville and the game got postponed. They fly back, and tomorrow they're back in Denver taking on the Stars.
All right, so they go back home.
They go back home.
So they probably immediately just went back home.
The moment they woke up and they found out about the game being postponed, they got to the airport.
Yeah, sleep in your own beds. Yeah, dude. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Well, no, and we mentioned that as well because obviously Allan Bell Sportsline, make sure that you follow him on Twitter at AllanBell247. You hear it all the time about how much this is going to, or all the games and all the stuff and all the answers that you try to give to everybody that's going on. Texas is still losing to Baylor 17-19.
And they're a 10-point favorite.
And they were a 10-point favorite in this. And Texas, what on earth is happening to the Longhorns?
Dude, it's just, this is what they do, man. They're a frustrating team to bet on, man. They just play down to their competition. And I like Steve Sarkisian. I like Texas, man. I like Quinn Ewers. I've got nothing against them whatsoever, but they are just a frustrating team to bet. They're a lot like the Dallas Cowboys at times, man. It'll just frustrate you. And I'm sure Cowboys fans feel the same way, even not from a betting perspective. If it's a team that's outside of the NFC East, you're basically the first half of the game yesterday, right? You're just like, what are we doing? Yep. Where are these penalties coming from? The exact same thing right there. These two teams mirror each other very much. It's fascinating.
Well, and we saw that last week as well with Tennessee, is some of the dumb penalties that helped South Carolina and pivotal points of the game. You look at the final score, and the final score is oh, man, we got mauled.
Yeah.
But people forget, because of what happened with Hendon Hooker, it was a 4-point game at one point in time late in that ball game.
Yeah.
And so, but penalties started to hurt Tennessee.
Yeah.
You look at now.
And penalties, and not to interrupt you, I'll keep going, but one thing to pay attention to, especially if you are looking, you're an experienced sports bettor or you're just getting into it, is to look at penalties, and especially third down penalties, because if you are on defense and you get a stop and then you say you get defensive holding or something just out of nowhere that gives them that free first down that they didn't have, dude, that's a turnover. Right? That's absolutely a turnover. And if they put up points, which the Cowboys did, you look at the Cowboys-Giants game, right? When they went for it on fourth down, didn't get it, Cowboys go ahead and punch touchdown, game was over. That's something to pay attention to. So you bring up a good point. Penalties matter for sure.
Well, and I'm also curious as how to the penalties as far as motivation and everything else.
And Texas just turned it over. Yeah.
And Texas just turned it over.
Going, sir.
So, but then you look at the games that are going to be happening tomorrow, and you have a ton of rivalry games because, yes, the one that's getting talked about, College Game Day will be there, Michigan, Ohio State. You do now have South Carolina and Clemson still playing in it. South Carolina is trying to make sure Clemson still doesn't have an avenue into the college football playoff. The Iron Bowl is taking place. You also have Georgia Tech happening. The biggest one that I think of the day that's happening outside of Michigan and Ohio State may be Oregon State in the Civil War that's taking place. Do they still call it the Civil War? Is that still? Can we still call it that?
I think so. I haven't heard. Yeah,
I haven't heard anybody
for some
say
reason we just got rid of the cocktail party, which actually sounds the most respectful.
Absolutely, it sounds.
It's a buttoned-up, classy event.
Honestly, when you say something like that, I almost feel like Ole Miss should be there. It just feels like something where bow ties and white dresses should be involved. It does. But you have all of those games happening, but then you do have the one say Georgia Tech. Georgia right now is a 35.5-point favorite in that ball game.
Insane.
But we start talking about the motivation factor. That is so hard to bet college football-wise in bowl games because we don't know which team is more motivated, which teams are wanting to play. We heard, matter of fact, before we came on about the possibility that most likely Cedric Tillman's not going to play for the remainder of the season.
Yeah.
So you start wondering about, okay, well, Tennessee should be able to beat Vandy, but motivation, players that are already opting out. With Georgia, it's just about winning and making sure you don't get injured because right now, as long as you win this week, you're in the college football playoff regardless as to what happens in the SEC championship. How hard is that to bet?
Yeah, it's difficult at times, but you pay attention to the games, exactly what you just broke down. And I'll give you a couple examples here. All right, so with Georgia, let's just look at them. 100%. Just win, get out of there, be healthy. That's it. The problem with Georgia is that them doing that, they could put up points and teams just lay down because they are so good, right? So it's tough taking totals, but when you have something 33, that's just such a ridiculous number, especially in the second half when you're just running the football and getting the clock out of there. Now, I'll give you another kind of example. Look at LSU and Texas A&M, okay? One, LSU has covered in 11 straight against Texas A&M. Now you speak about motivation. There is no motivation for Texas A&M. Players are done. The only thing they're looking forward to is that clock hitting 0 and the season being over. Now, for LSU, they've got to not only win, they're already in the SEC championship, but to be in that conversation, they have to continue winning, right? So I like LSU a little bit to cover. Like, I don't hate it. What I really like is the under of 47.5 because I don't think LSU is going to score a ton of points. I don't think Texas A&M is going to score any points, right? Like, you're probably looking 14 and under. So that's a good way to look at it. Now I'll give you another one. Michigan, Ohio State. The over is hit in 8 straight games. Got pretty good weather. It's going to be in that game. Like, I think it's going to be a pretty solid, fun game. Here's 2 stats for you in regards to both of those teams. One, Ohio State. They are the only FBS team in the country that has won every game this year by 10 or more points. Wow. Every one of them. Now, I'm not saying that they had the hardest schedule, but they had a schedule. Like, they went up and lined up against teams, and they've won every one of them by 10 points or more. On the other side, Michigan. They've scored first in every game this season, right? So it's not like those things go, hand in hand. It makes it an easy bet. Like, none of that, right? Yeah. But you just look at things and it's like, okay, Michigan starts games solid. And that's what they've done. They generally score a bunch of points first half, second half, run the football. Probably not going to be able to do that, and it's going to throw things off. I kind of like Ohio State in this one.
Well, and again, the winner of that one is you believe in the college football playoff. They still have to win the Big Ten championship because the Big Ten and especially Ohio State doesn't have the luxury that a team like Georgia has. That they've their resume doesn't match up to what Georgia's does just because it's the Big Ten. But it's because you're number 2, and the likelihood of you dropping 3 slots after losing a conference championship game could potentially knock you out of it as compared to if you drop 3 slots in your Georgia, you're still number 4. Yep. So, that's where all this is lying to it. So those are some of the numbers looking at what's going to be happening. Now, we come back here in just a minute. Mike Vrabel is going to be meeting with the media at 1:30. We're going to have that for you here as he starts and continues to talk about the Titans' upcoming game with the Bengals. Also, some numbers I'll have for you when we come back. 220, 1 and 3. What are we talking about? We will continue and we will explain. We come back 615-737-1045. Joe Hunk, Allan Bell in with you on this Black Friday. This is 1045 The Zone. Continuing on 104.5 The Zone, Joe Hunk. Allan Bell from Sportsline. You can follow him on Twitter at AllanBell247. Follow myself at Joe Hunk. And, of course, our man Robert taking your phone calls on the other side, 615-737-1045. Robert had himself a fun little Thanksgiving.
He's crushing it back there.
Bro, for a guy that partied like he did last night, you are killing it.
I appreciate that. I show up and try to put my best foot forward, even if that foot had stepped on numerous beer cans throughout the night.
Yep. He's a Mike Vrabel guy, dude. You show up, man. Show up to work.
That's all it is.
Do
That's
your
half
job.
of it. Just do your job, show up, and you're going to eventually go put one foot in front of the other, even if when you look down you see 6 feet.
Yeah.
Just try to put them in front of the other, man. That's all it is, okay? Even if you're drinking out of a bowl like you're a cat, which is a true story of what Robert was doing.
Yeah,
when
I
we
don't
got
think
here
Vrabel would be
today.
with that part. I don't think he's with that part.
Oh, he was turning
But
it up.
hydration is key, so there you go.
100%. That's actually what gets you fit. Why didn't you make a Waffle House run before coming in here? Like, go somewhere and get you some pancakes or something.
Nah, I'm the kind of guy where, like, if you got to go to the bathroom, like, I'm just going to go to the bathroom. Like, if I got to go to work hungover, I'm just going to go to work hungover. Like, I'm a man. If you hate something, just do it for the rest of your life. Be a man.
I'm a man. I'm hungover.
Hungover.
I hurt, and I don't care.
Like Allan Bell tried to offer him Advil when he first gave. He's like, bro, do you need something?
He just said no.
He's like, he was looking at him. I don't know if he saw Allan Bell. I don't know if he saw where you were or not. He was just like, yeah, no, I'm good.
No, I'm good. I'll just sit here.
Yeah, bro.
I was like, all right.
You're hunched over. Your back is hurting. You seriously partied way too hard at Friendsgiving last night. Are you sure? Nah, man, I got it. I'm good. I'm good to go. But yes, give Robert a call. Let him know what a killer job he is doing on this Black Friday as we are all getting ready for Christmas now. And my wife is watching on Zone TV, which you can as well. No matter if you're on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube, no matter where you are, you can watch as you're going and going. Matter of fact, if you're a passenger in a vehicle right now, I emphasize passenger, you can watch while somebody else listens. It's as easy as that.
That easy, man.
That easy. We have Tennessee and Cincinnati coming up on Sunday. Kick is at noon, and you can be listening to it right here on 104.5 The Zone. Right now, USA and England, they are 21 minutes in. It is still 0-0. See, I sounded good on that.
Well, look at you, man.
I was rolling, too,
dude,
until I stopped myself.
A footy.
Yeah, there we go. They are still tied at 0. We will keep you updated as that is going along right now. We have Danny in the Burrow shot us a message on Zone TV, says that y'all know that the Bengals are getting that tail kicked for a third year, or going to be getting that tail for a third year in a row, talking about how they're going to be coming into Nissan Stadium and playing the Titans. The number I gave you before the break, 221-3. That was Ryan Tannehill's numbers in January against the Bengals. 220 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. I don't bring it up just to bring it up because I know that the team is saying this is not a revenge game on Sunday. This is not a revenge game. Bro, the Bengals put Tannehill in therapy.
Yeah.
How is this not a revenge game for him?
Yeah. It's one of those things to where personally, right? Like, you're not putting it on the whiteboard like, this is revenge, you know what I mean? But, like, you wouldn't be a competitor at that level if at some point you didn't think about it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it would be impossible. Right now, you don't go out of your way to say, I'm going to do everything I can for me to like, you go in the game plan of how, the team goes up, about winning that game. But yeah, personally as a competitor, dude, hell yeah.
Look,
yeah.
And look, this is a driving force for you every single offseason. You have something. Every athlete picks something. And that becomes their driving force to get ready for the football season because you do not want it.
Michael Jordan would just make things up.
Oh, absolutely. There was
Tom
a guy,
Brady too, yeah.
He's walking into the gym. He's getting ready to go work out with Tim Grover. And he walks in and goes, as I was walking in here, I had a guy that gave me a weird look. I think it's because he knows that I'm not doing free throws really well. So to say screw you to that guy, I'm about to nail 1,000 in a row before we even start practice.
Yeah.
Like it's that sort of stuff. Like he just makes crap up.
Yeah.
That just goes ahead and just makes it where that's his motivation for the day.
Yeah.
Tannehill went to therapy in the offseason because of this game. The man was literally down on himself enough where he went radio silent for an entire summer.
Can I also say one thing about that? Dude, respect. And let me say this. One, for that, because, and we're not going to get in the soapbox of like, people need, it shows strength, right? Yeah. To do that. But number two, look around the NFL right now. All right, look around the NFL at any point in the season. You're seeing a quarterback with the Jets that not only had such a wrong answer that he was benched, he was put inactive, sent him home, right? You look at Arizona with the issues there. There's something going on with Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray with other players. Like I'm saying around the league, you're seeing issues with quarterback speed, doing whatever that's not good to the locker room. You know what Ryan Tannehill did? Kept his mouth shut, ate it, went and spoke to someone professionally, respect, and came back ready to go. And look at him, right? Yeah. Like I respect that so much. And Mariani was talking about, how tough he is physically, which he is. The dude is tough mentally as well. Like I just wanted to pay respect to that for being a professional, handling it like a professional, and you could see why, Mike Vrabel and them respect him so much.
And when he finally came back to practice and he stood in front of the media, he answered everybody's question. Yeah. He didn't say, hey, I just don't want to speak right now. Give me some space. Like none of that stuff. Like he handled it like a true professional. And we are 12 weeks into the NFL season. And in 12 weeks in the NFL season, I do not hear a single Titans fan right now saying, yeah, we need to move on from Tannehill anymore.
Yeah.
Because that was all we talked about in the offseason, especially when Malik was drafted of, hey, Tannehill's got 1 year, and then it's going to be Malik's team. Well, after you saw Malik play for 2 games, you saw the potential, but you also saw how far away that potential is and how much he still needs to grow.
Yeah.
Now you look at Tannehill, and I don't think that there's a Titans fan now that is not grateful for him being there based on how he's played the last 2 weeks. And
not to interrupt you, you know who else is in that same boat?
Who?
The San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not comparing Trey Lance and Malik Willis, so we're not saying anything negative about Lance or Willis either. Great. Continue on your maturation process, and when it's your time, be ready.
Totally.
Right? But the 49ers are very happy, right, that Garoppolo is still there. And not that the situation is the same, like Tannehill was leaving or whatever, but, dude, Ryan Tannehill's a good quarterback. There's a lot of teams that would like to have Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback. You just spoke about the Houston Texans earlier. The Indianapolis Colts are legitimately getting rid of everyone that has to do with that organization because they can't find a quarterback.
No, because they're an NFL retirement home for quarterbacks. Like, you go there and you just roll your wheelchair in and you go, also, I'm playing.
Also, got to pay respect to a job that there are legitimately 17 people on the planet that can do it somewhat well. And notice I said like 17. Like, there are 32 starting quarterbacks. They're not all that good.
Oh, no.
And there are like 3 that are elite. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
It is arguably the hardest job in the world. Like, these people just don't exist.
No. And and you and I were talking last hour about Mike Wright, and we were speaking about this even 2 hours ago, about how you can look at his pass chart and you can see if you take away the right side of the field from the right hash mark to the out of bounds line, if you take that side away, Mike Wright is nowhere close to the same quarterback when it comes to passing because all of his good passes go to the right side.
Yeah.
In the NFL, Mike Wright's not even stepping on the field if he cannot make those passes.
No.
Which is why Malik, we were saying he is going to take some time because there are times like the pass to Chig, like the pass to Hooper, like those passes that you saw in the Chiefs game. Look, we can see that he is going to be good in the future.
Yeah.
But right now, he's not there. And then Tannehill comes back, has had arguably some of the best games that he has played, and that's even counting stuff that happened last year. And now you're looking at this game right here. And I know, again, we only had 3 days before we had Thanksgiving and all of that. I know that the Titans are wanting to say this is not a revenge game. There is no way on earth you cannot tell me that Tannehill did not walk into the facility on Friday, on Saturday, and sit there and go and have that focus on, because I know when I played.
You know what time it is.
Absolutely. Because I know that when I played, I remember being in high school, and I remember being in high school having one pitcher from each team in our area that I would do my reps in the locker room, or I should say my reps in the gym, and I would be sitting there. Every time I would start to struggle, the guy spotting me would say their name just to piss me off so that I would get that rep finished.
Yeah.
I know that happened because I did it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you Slay said the same thing. I guarantee you Ramon Foster said the same thing. You cannot tell me that Ryan Tannehill has not thought about this game since the schedule came out, and especially in the last month, knowing what happened last time that game took place and what he did.
Yeah, you want to get him back. Like, absolutely. And again, you're going to do that in the process of the game plan and the game script of how the Titans go about best winning said game. Like, he's not going rogue here, but like he wouldn't be a competitor at that level without I really wouldn't trust it like somebody who didn't have that like fire in him. I'm not saying you don't say a word about it. They're handling it correctly in the media. You say, nah, man, it's another game. You know what I mean? Like, we're just trying to go out here and win. Like, that's how you handle it.
Yeah.
But internally, let me also say this. I think like Vrabel, I don't think he's ever beat Zach Taylor, right?
No, he's 0-2 against Zach Taylor. He's never beat Zach Taylor in his head coaching career.
You think Vrabel knows that?
Oh, he absolutely knows that.
Yeah, he's not going to say it.
No.
But yeah, like you would look at those things, you're like, all right, man, like I kind of want to clip this team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, and like Emmett even says on Zone TV, on our Zone TV chat, he goes, it is for that reason, the offseason therapy, that Tannehill is going to win this game on Sunday. Tannehill put his pride on the back burner, accepted counseling, and he's a bigger man for it. Look, I've been honest about it. Everybody who knows me, anybody that's been around me, knows how much I'm an advocate about mental health. I have depression. I have severe anxiety. I'm ADHD. Bro, I am a glass case of emotion every single day, okay?
Yeah.
Therapy helps, okay? Getting it out and talking to somebody helps, okay?
Huge.
Huge. But in the society that we are in now, it is a very difficult thing for somebody to say, I need to go to therapy and to accept it. Ryan Tannehill understood that what he did in that game and what happened, how much it cost him, how much it cost the city, and how much it cost the entire history of the Tennessee Titans over the course of the last 30 years and 22 years since they've played into a Super Bowl. Because you ask anybody on the Titans team, they thought last year was going to be the year they would make the Super Bowl because of how many obstacles they had already gotten over. 91 players playing. The fact that you still were the number one team in the AFC. The fact that you still had the opportunity to be hosting an AFC championship game for the very first time. All of that going into L.A. and beating the Rams when Adrian Peterson on a third of a leg, not even, 2 legs, was your starting running back in that game. And being able to do what you did and thinking, now we get the king back and we can do what we did.
Yep.
And it all got swept away because of what happened and way that Tannehill played. And yes, there were made field goals, there were missed field goals. We get all of that, okay? But you cannot tell me that this is not a revenge game for Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah,
there's no way.
Yeah. And you want it. Like, I mean, you just want that fire, right? And I think that you also brought up a good point. When you look at the schedule, like when it comes out in the summer, and you're like, okay, let's kind of, circle. These are, wins. These are losses. Like, you kind of do that. Another thing that is crazy about the Titans is like all the ones that you're like, man, this is going to be, got to go to Green Bay. It's going to be tough. Got to go to Kansas City. Like, it's so strange how like every year, like those are the ones like that Vrabel and the crew are like, oh, no, we got that. You know what I mean? Like,
think about the beginning of the year. Chiefs, Broncos, Packers. We went, that's going to suck. Those 3 games back-to-back, you've got to deal with Mahomes, you've got to deal with Russell Wilson, and you got to deal with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
2 for 3.
By the way, weirdly, are the Indianapolis Colts undefeated in the AFC West? They beat the Chiefs, they beat the Raiders, and they beat the Broncos. Right? Like, I guess all they have left are the Chargers?
All they have left are the Chargers.
How weird is that? They can't beat anyone else, but they could beat that. But, I mean, it just goes to show, like, this Titans team, I wish there were a way that Mike Vrabel could bottle and trademark whatever the hell he does, like, leading up to games, especially when they're underdogs.
Yeah.
Because it's unbelievable. And I get people that text me from way out that don't really get a lot of Titans games, Southern California, Oregon, all these places. They're like, dude, what in the world does this guy do? I'm like, I wish I knew. You know what I mean? Like,
no, seriously.
It's unbelievable.
All right, so we've got some updates right now. The Mike Vrabel is meeting with the media. It is not a podium meeting, so he's just meeting with them on the sides. So far, what we know is Danico Autry is officially ruled out for the game on Sunday. Center Ben Jones is still not out of concussion protocol, but Coach Vrabel says that he hopes that he will pass all of the criteria by the end of the day. We got phone lines are going right now as well. Let's go ahead and get to those as 615-737-1045. Let's head to Springfield. JP, welcome in this afternoon. How are you today, sir?
I am doing my best to keep my head above this crazy sports situation. I know you're talking about the Titans.
Yeah.
But, man, can I talk about something else for a minute? I got to talk.
Absolutely, man. Let it go. This will be therapy. I just told you I'm a fan of therapy. Let's go.
I need help. I need an NCAA football psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, support group, I don't know, mentor. Yesterday, Thanksgiving, this guy's got drink problems, this guy's got marital problems, there's this, there's that. And I'm sitting there thinking, I got a real problem. Well, I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I got a real problem. I got college football problems, and I need help to make it through the rest of this season.
Who's your team?
With the Tennessee Volunteers is my main team.
Gotcha.
But the stress and excitement of what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, he dropped.
I'll tell you what. I can take it. I can take it from there. All right. And Ron Slay, if you're listening, I'm going to borrow from what you said because I think you said it best. All right. Coming into the season as a Tennessee fan, if you would have said that this team finishes, let's say they beat Vanderbilt. We're just saying that, not calling it, just saying it. They finish what, 10-2? If you'd have said that and beat Alabama and beat Florida, yeah. Like every single Vols fan would take that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because as much as there was expectation with as amazing as Hendon Hooker is, let's be honest, okay? Outside of the state of Tennessee, heck, outside of Knoxville and outside of Nashville, was there anybody else talking about how Hendon Hooker could be the leading candidate to win a Heisman Trophy?
No.
Like betting odds. You're the betting guy. Like where was he at the beginning of the season? Because, look, we all thought
not on the list.
You know what I'm saying? Like we all thought this was going to be the thing is, if Hendon plays anything like he was last year, this guy's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But it actually happened.
Yeah.
And he played even better.
Yeah, he did. And let me also say this, because I do want to recognize and acknowledge this side too. The tough part is the way Tennessee's lost these two games. The Georgia one where it just didn't show up, right? Like it was just heartbreaking. It looked like watching a significant other like cheat on you. You're like, I don't know who this team is. Like, who are you, right?
You're not the man I'm married.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then you see the South Carolina where it's like, okay, we got past that. We're good. Like, just win and in.
Yes.
And then not only like lose, like just flat out just get whooped, right? Like, I get that and I agree. Like, it's the way that those two losses happen. And I feel you. Keep it with you because it's hard to get that feeling out.
Well, because nobody thought about South Carolina
at all. That's the toughest part. It's like you're almost there, and it's like the opportunity squandered that doesn't come around every year. But if I could give you one thing, Tennessee is going to be good for a minute, and look at what this administration is doing. And I know, like, it doesn't always help hearing that. But look at the baseball program. Look at the basketball program. Look at the football program. Like, Tennessee was ranked in the top 5 in like 4 programs in the last like 2 years, right? Things are going so well, and no one is leaving any of these programs. And look at last year, Tennessee. Offense was great. Defense was historically horrific. Not that the defense is great this year by any means, but it got pretty good during the stretch. Like, there are just small little things that when Tennessee and Heupel, when they fix these things, dude, look out, man.
Look, to just show how crazy last Saturday night was, and again, to continue to put into perspective, Spencer Rattler, 438 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yeah.
If you take his last 8 games combined, he threw 6 touchdowns in those 8 games total.
It's crazy.
There was no way to think that he was actually going to do this. That's why, look, if you go back and you listen to 104.5 The Zone all week from last week, and I know a lot of people do, and we so appreciate how much the Zone fans and how much you listen from every single thing from 6A all the way through Coach Vrabel's show, Mac Talk, Titans Tonight, everything. You watch the Gamer Zone with me every Wednesday. Like, we deeply appreciate all of that. Nobody thought South Carolina was going to be what happened to it.
No.
Nobody thought it was. So I understand how crappy this was. But at the same time, you also have to look at how far Tennessee has come just under the coaching staff that they have currently had.
Yeah.
It sucks because we have people that are making Peach Bowl ticket purchases.
Yeah.
You had people that were looking at outside shots of getting the SEC championship. You had beaten Alabama.
But you know what? And let me also say this, and not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But you know what, man? Like, the pain hurts from those losses. But you know what, dude? Like, that's where the greatness is. Like, that's where life is. And you know what? Sometimes, dude, those scars, they stay. And these were tough losses. I get it. But you know what is worse than those scars? Nothing. When your games don't matter. Like, when you're like, dude, going into a season, we're a 5 to 6 win team. That's the worst. Look, so it's like these scars hurt. Trust me. But this is where you want to be. Like, this is where it's at. And if you're in that mix, dude, you're in a great spot, man.
Well, no, you are. Because, look, as a guy, again, yes, I like Tennessee. I like Auburn. Everybody's talked about it. We know I like both teams.
Yeah.
I seriously sat down and went, oh, well, I guess Auburn and Texas A&M are playing each other. Auburn's 3-6 right now. Like, I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't even like, okay, whatever happens, cool.
Yeah.
And then to see how Jordan-Hare Stadium was acting for a 3-6 football team, you would have thought that they were getting ready for the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, we are right now lighting the entire city of Auburn on fire because we're so excited about taking on a Texas A&M team that sucks, that should have been amazing this season, that have underachieved.
Yeah,
and
you want to be
doing
that?
Yeah. You were that excited about this?
Yeah.
You're 3-6, man. Like, I was like, all right, I'll turn the game on. I'll have it on the background while I'm playing Madden.
Yeah.
Like, that was my thought process. Had no clue it would turn into what it did. It sucks to be that team that's there, and Tennessee fans have been there.
Yeah.
But now, looking at
you're
going
back
into
in the
this
mix.
game,
Like, you're in the mix of it, man. Like, yeah.
To be getting, and most likely, again, barring anything happening tomorrow, you're making it to a New Year's Six bowl. You're going to be on national television. Everybody now doesn't get tired of hearing Rocky Top. Like, again, go back to the South Carolina game. To start the game, South Carolina had Sandstorm going, and Tennessee's Rocky Top was draining it out at the beginning, and people were laughing about it.
That was unbelievable, by the way. Like, you could put a game on the moon and Vols fans would show up. Like, it was crazy that you could hear it, like, on the broadcast, right? But you're right, dude. Like, that's where you want to be. And sometimes, man, those losses hurt. And I'll tell you what else? Like, how difficult and weird, like, winning championships are. Look at LSU. Their last 2 coaches they've had have both won national championships. And look, I like both of those guys, Les Miles and Ed Orgeron. They're both cartoon characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, they're crazy people, right? But it's just weird sometimes, man. But you get in that mix, dude, and like you get a couple more recruits than you normally did, right? You just have a locker room that's believing. And Tennessee has that in spades. Right?
And you mentioned a coaching situation that is very interesting that you need to pay attention to, and that's what's happening at LSU. We'll also get back into your phone calls as well, 615-737-1045. You can watch on Zone TV, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, wherever it is that you want to watch. We will continue. Joe Hunk, Allan Bell on 1045 The Zone. All right, wrapping up on this Black Friday. Still got about 9 minutes to get in with myself, Joe Hunk, Allan Bell from Sportsline in with us. You can follow us on Twitter at Allan Bell 247, as well as at myself at Joe Hunk. Of course, you always want to follow 104.5 The Zone at just that, 104.5 The Zone, 615-737-1045 will get you in with us. Our man Robert over there still taking those phone calls as we continue. Right now, update from the World Cup. USA and England still tied at 0-0 going into the half. Texas finally up on Baylor as it is 24-19 with 15 minutes left to go in that ball game. Don't forget that on 104.5 The Zone, you will be getting the Vols coverage of the game with Tennessee and Vanderbilt coming up tomorrow as the Vols in town, over right down the street, taking on Vandy. Night game. SEC networks where you'll be able to watch it. 6:30 is when that game is going to be kicking off. Tennessee right now looking at a 14-point favorite in that game. Another game, though, that I know you're going to be paying attention to, mainly just because outside of Michigan, Ohio State, it is one you're always going to be watching. 2:30, CBS, Iron Bowl, Auburn, Alabama. You mentioned LSU just a little while ago. And before we continue talking about the Titans to wrap up the show today, you mentioned one person, and that person is the reason why I want Auburn to go ahead and make a decision about the head coach before the game kicks off at 2:30 tomorrow, regardless as to if it's Lane or not, because CeeLo has reported that, Lane has said that, he plans on staying at Ole Miss. We saw that he was asked that during his press conference after the game last night, and he said that, yes, he does expect to remain at Ole Miss, but that is going to be a topic that's going to continue to go for the next 24 hours because that game kicks off. You mentioned Ed Orgeron.
Yeah.
If you look at the characteristics of Coach O, fantastic recruiter,
yep,
amazing energy guy,
great jaw,
amazing jawline. Go Tigers. Like, great. I mean, just he's got that
That
Louisiana.
was really good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's the only thing of his I can do. I cannot talk like him. All I can say is go Tigers.
You just got to give it like the Boomhauer ramble. Like that the coach off Waterboy that was like, you like to see homeboy naked. Like, that's what you got to do to get him.
Let me
He's sober. He's sober enough over here. He's going good now.
He's firing live over here.
He is.
All right, so you're talking about Ed Orgeron, Auburn.
Yes.
Can I propose a theory to you?
Okay.
If you get Lane Kiffin, you might be able to get Ed Orgeron with him.
Well, no, no. That's not too far off. I'm saying this because the reason I brought up Coach O had more to do with the fact of fantastic recruiter, amazing energy guy in the locker room. People love him. You can literally take out the word Coach O and put the word Cadillac in there.
Of course.
And it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Cadillac is an amazing recruiter because kids still have heard about Go Crazy Cadillac.
Yeah.
Rip Rod Bramlett.
It's Cadillac Williams.
Yes, it's Cadillac.
I am upset that Ronnie Brown isn't on the staff as well, but no, keep going.
No,
Cadillac's awesome, dude.
Ronnie Brown's on the sidelines. Like, they're both there. I mean, it is. Ronnie Brown's on the sidelines for Auburn. So you have him. You have this, but the problem with it is what would the future be under Cadillac? The problem is if Cadillac beats Alabama tomorrow, which they have no reason in doing. Okay, I'm not saying this is, the Auburn guy is saying that Cadillac should win. No, Auburn should not go into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama, okay? Because outside of them doing it during the winning streak in the early 2000s, Auburn has gotten destroyed in Tuscaloosa every time they step on the field outside of 2010 with the comeback.
Yeah.
Even 2013 or 2014 when they played and they lost, I mean, it was like 54-48. Like, it was one of those games. They cannot play well inside of Bryant-Denny Stadium. But
it's a tough place to play.
Oh, it's definitely a difficult place to play. But if Caddy wins, then the fan base is totally split. And then I start seeing resemblance of Coach O and LSU.
I see where you're going now. All right.
Where, hey, this guy is born and bred Auburn.
Yep.
Nobody's going to represent this guy like he can. And because of the money we've had to spend on Harsin, on Malzahn, that this guy's going to save us money.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what
I didn't think
LSU
about
was
this.
saying about Les Miles.
Yep.
So
I have no answer because you're right. Like, it's dangerous.
it is.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous slope. So that's why, look, it's understandable what Auburn fans want, but there's a scare. Now, staying with college football, Bart shoots us a tweet at 1045 The Zone. He says, before the season, when we were talking about Tennessee moments ago, he said, before the season, most fans would say we either beat Alabama or Georgia and would lose to either Kentucky, Mizzou, South Carolina, or Vandy. So we are better than anyone thought. I will say that they need to beat Vandy. No, they absolutely do need to beat Vandy.
Yeah.
And this game matches up well for Tennessee when it comes to beating Vandy.
Yeah, I mean, they have to. It's weird to say that this is a must-win, but you've got to bounce back. You absolutely have to bounce back because you could lose your locker room and you could lose, with how the transfer portal and all things, like, this thing could blow up pretty quickly. Like, Heupel and his staff, this is a must-win for them. You have to keep your house in order, and winning does that. Losing puts you in chaos. I 100% agree.
Because, look, this is happening. It is November 25th, and this is the very last game for every single college football team with the current team that is in that locker room, where you say, well, of course it is. No. Because the moment this game ends for everybody tonight that's going on right now, which, by the way, Baylor just took the lead on Texas on a scoop and score with between the games last night, tonight, and tomorrow. The moment these games end, these football players make a decision. NFL, transfer portal.
Yep.
So if you start to see whatever happens right down the street from us, the moment this game ends, this is the last game for the Tennessee Vols as we know it. They've got to stay motivated.
You have to. And also, let me say, dude, thanks for having me today, man. This is fun.
Oh, bro, I absolutely loved it.
I did too.
I'm serious. Like, 3 hours is up, and I'm just like, oh, that's it.
I know. It went by fast. I'm very appreciative to both of you guys, everyone at 1045 The Zone. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. You know what? Hope to see you guys soon.
You're actually going to see us next Friday at Scoreboard.
All right.
That's exactly where you're going to be seeing us. Don't forget, tonight, Tennessee basketball. You can hear it right here on 1045 The Zone. We will see you on Monday. Recap Vandy, Tennessee. Recap Titans, Bengals. And Aaron tweets in and says the Bengals didn't put Tannehill in therapy. It was Titans fans.